Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. 23 Op FLS. Chapter 481. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hidan and Katakuri have the same speed. Since Katakuri has an observation haki that can foresee a short future, Hidan has nothing to do. Katakuri was very cautious and did not give Hidan a chance to hurt him. Even if there is a high chance of hitting Hidan severely, he can resist the temptation and take the initiative to retreat. Katakuri is not in a hurry. According to intelligence, the Flowing Cloud Pirate's combat power is very high and its abilities are also very strange, but the number is seriously insufficient. Now Katakuri can contribute to the whole battle by dragging one of them. It should be said that Hidan's injury behavior was too eager, but it made Katakuri feel weird and did not fight head-on. With the powerful observation haki and the ability of the special Paramesha Devil Fruit, Katakuri can always avoid Hidan's sickle in various strange ways. Bloody March sickle danced a flower in Hidan's hand, but Kakuzu did not even touch it. On the contrary, Katakuri can always leave some small wounds on Hidan with the trident in his hand after he is sure that he is safe. Or use the power of the fruit to produce glutinous pulp from the body and turn into fists and legs to wrap armament haki to whisper to Hidan. From the outside, Hidan was completely at a disadvantage in the past few minutes of fighting. There were various wounds and scars on his body, and he was very embarrassed, and Katakuri realized with ease, just like boiling a frog in warm water. Advertisement. It is a pity that Hidan belongs to the elder among the frogs. He has unlimited life and will not really die. So these injuries mean nothing to Hidan. Hidan was waiting for an opportunity that the other side couldn't help but. Even if the person with the glutinous fruit ability is made of glutinous rice, Hidan is sure to chop blood from the opposite body. Since Chin Luo rescued him from Impel Down, Hidan has realized that the world of pirates has many weird methods. Especially the peculiar power called Devil Fruit, in which some people can transform their bodies into a non-physical state composed of materials, without fear of slashing. This drove Hidan very mad. His battle relied heavily on getting blood to deal with, but is there any way ordinary physical skills can deal with this kind of enemy? At Itachi's suggestion, Hidan had seastone inlaid on all three blades of his Bloody March sickle. As long as the blade of the sickle cuts into the opponent's body and touches the part of the seastone, these enemies will all become ordinary flesh and blood. Being able to predict my movements, just like Itachi's blood wheel eyes, each of you is really amazing. You can vent the anger that you usually accumulate when discussing with Itachi. Hidan shouted loudly. Katakuri complained about Hidan's act of angering others, but he didn't feel angry because of it. There was still a calm gleam in Katakuri's eyes, no matter how big a word was, but he couldn't touch me, it was just a joke. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Katakuri's heart did not fluctuate, and he even threw a look at Hidan that cared for the mentally retarded. Hidan received the sincere look in Katakuri and shouted excitedly, "Kill you, I must kill you. You see how good these two people are. As followers of Cthulhu, they should all bless others in this way." Just like Buddhism's early ascent of bliss, Hidan is also blessing Katakuri to plunge into the embrace of the evil god as soon as possible. Advertisement. Well, probably. Scythe whip blade. Hidan's Bloody March sickle began to stretch, and a large amount of rope was pulled out from the rope loop on Hidan's waist. The whole Bloody March sickle turned into a 10-meter-long whip with a sharp blade on the top. Hidan decided to change his tactics, and since his actions would be seen through by Katakuri, then he fought wildly. Even Hidan himself doesn't know how he will attack next, can the opponent still know? Hidan would do this, but it was wrong for Katakuri to see through the principles of his movements. Unlike Sharingan's dynamic vision and prediction, Katakuri is truly predicting the future. No wonder Hidan is like this. Observation haki is so strong that it can foresee such things in the future, no one can think of it. However, Hidan's changes were not without effect. After he started to fight, Katakuri's easy rhythm was also disrupted. Katakuri's observation haki still plays the role of predicting the future. The reason why his rhythm is chaotic is because Hidan's attacks are too weird. Have you ever seen a sickle that is obviously about to hit your head suddenly slap it down with the back of the sword like a fly, or have you ever seen a long whip that flying up and down almost knotted yourself up? Anyway, these Katakuri have seen them, and there are various other curious behaviors. Katakuri once thought that there was a problem with his observation haki, and hesitated while avoiding it, which made him avoid the blade of the sickle by wiping the blade several times. But it turns out that Katakuri's observation haki didn't foresee the wrong thing, and Hidan on the opposite side was clearly chaotic. This trick has a resounding name among them. It is called Scythe Method of Blindness. Not to mention the battle between Hidan and Katakuri. After the combined forces began to attack, many pirates with a bounty of more than 100 million, or admiral-level combat power of Lieutenant Admiral began to break into the defensive position of the Fishmen Island. Advertisement. Even if the guards of the Pirates of the Sun and the Murloc Palace come together, it is a drop in the bucket. Moreover, the real strength is Fisher Tiger, Jinbei and several generals of the Murloc Palace. In order to hold the line of defense, many Murlocs chose to die together when facing invincible enemies. Long before the battle began, every Murloc soldier sent explosives in their hands, and it was up to them to decide whether to pull the enemy to detonate or not. When facing the life and death of a race, there is always something more than life and not wanting to lose, such as family, love, or the Fishmen Island that represents the place to live. Various explosions came from the position. These Murloc soldiers were not told that they would be able to resurrect afterwards. All explosions were a sacrifice. The offensive of the coalition forces was slightly slowed down in such a self-detonation, but this sacrifice did not bring any chance of a comeback, and the explosion that sounded gradually seemed like a countdown to failure. In order to deal with those above the mid-range combat power, Itachi sent 4 clones, each carrying 1/5 of his chakra. This also means that at this time, before Chakra's body was restored, only Tsunade and Tautu still had complete combat effectiveness. The speed at which the position fell was a little faster than we expected. Tsunade said leisurely. Her reply was a long sigh. It was not just someone who was sighing in the explosion. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 482. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. At present, the situation can be stabilized and there is no defeat on the spot. On the one hand, the defenders of the Fishmen Island are stubbornly resisting sacrifices. Itachi's Merystem also blocked most of the pirates. On the other hand, the manpower of the joint forces has not been fully deployed, and the ant herself has not entered the arena. Itachi, can you still hold it? Tsunade said. It's okay, I'll be able to call a clone in a while. The clone in Itachi's mouth is naturally 1/5 of his chakra. If there are not enough chakras, the clone will be given away. Nipton, have all the civilians of the Fishmen Island withdrawn into Dragon Palace. After receiving Itachi's reply, Tsunade considered asking the Murloc King Neptune. All were evacuated in an hour. Neptune answered calmly. He knew exactly what Tsunade was asking for. This meant that Tsunade was already considering giving up the port. At that time, the remaining Murloc guards in the harbor will also be abandoned. There are not many guards in the Dragon Palace city. Most of the people who withdrew were old, weak, and incompetent merfolk. Even if these female merfolk were to be strapped with explosives, they would not pose much threat. But considering the narrow terrain there, unless the combined forces blow up the entire Dragon Palace city, otherwise it will not be able to deploy manpower at all, and the Luyun pirates will be able to delay more time until Chinluo returns. Tsunade, one of my clones has been killed. I'll take a trip myself. After a while, Itachi said suddenly. Tsunade nodded directly in agreement. Since Itachi must take his own action to judge the situation, he naturally has his reasons. Tsunade completely trusts Itachi's ability to judge the whole situation. Advertisement. I saw a black light flashing. The original Itachi's body turned into a group of black crows and disappeared in the same place. When it appeared, it had already come to the battlefield, where the previous clone disappeared. I'm not dead yet. With this strength, I somehow want to try the taste of the juice they squeezed out. It was a woman who spoke. Haha, but the corpse must be left to me. This sharp voice was very unpleasant. Itachi glanced at the 3 enemies in front of him, and the information about them came out of his mind. Charlotte Smoky, Charlotte Snug, the other 2 of the 4 desserts, and Gecko Moria who just spoke with a sharp voice. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Itachi's previous clone was already struggling to face 2 sweet 4-star stars, but he could barely rely on various ninjutsu and illusions to support it, but in the end he was conspired by Gecko Moria. After being defeated by Qin Luo, Gecko Moria became more sinister and timid. In the frontal battle, Gecko Moria only sent his own zombie soldiers, but he drifted away from the battlefield for a long time. I also caught the opportunity. After starting the Shadow Revolution, Gecko Moria stabbed the big scissors in his hand into the heart of Itachi Doppelganger. Quick fight and quick decision. Looking at the three difficult enemies in front of him, Itachi decided to use all his strength to solve the battle quickly. Itachi's whispering voice was heard by the three of them. Yeah, this handsome guy has finally spoken, but it's not good to talk big. Handsome guy, make a discussion, okay, you surrender to us, and I will let you be my husband. Smokey said with a smile, but there are a few things in these words. I don't know the truth. So I can talk, I thought it was dumb. I asked you before, why didn't you save the body of your boss Luyun, just watching his body be beheaded by the world government? Tisk tusk, it is still profitable. Most importantly, God. After death, even an island is not as good as an island. But I, an outsider, some want to grab his body. Advertisement. Gecko Moria's hatred of Luyun is basically only below Kaido, who killed all his crew. Flowing clouds destroyed his devil's spinnaker that day, leaving him with the shadow he had prepared for many years to run away. This kind of hatred was deeply planted in Moria, who was lucky enough to survive. If nothing happens to Luyun, Gecko Moria, who is afraid of death, doesn't even dare to appear in front of him. But now that Luyun is dead, Gecko Moria immediately ran out to avenge the Luyun pirates. It was at this time that he got in the car of the ant pirates. Humph. Charlotte Snug finally hummed, and opened his posture to start the fight. Gecko Moria shouldn't ridicule Qin Luo in front of Itachi. Although it is clear that Qin Luo is not dead, Gecko Moria still slander Qin Luo. Itachi has recovered nearly half of the chakra, plus the chakra that was returned when the clone was destroyed. It was enough for Itachi to fully fire. The three-gold jade of the blood wheel in the eyes turned quickly, and soon Mangekyo Sharingan appeared. Monthly, Itachi did not hesitate to open it to Gecko Moria. Gecko Moria only felt that there was a flash in front of him, that he had come to a strange world from the battlefield of the Fishman Island port. There is blood-red land all around, even the moon in the sky. After taking a closer look, Gecko Moria found that he was tied to a pillar and could not move. How could it be? What happened? Gecko Moria roared hoarse, trying to break free from the pillar, but no shadow responded to his call, as if his ability had failed. Advertisement. Itachi's figure appeared in front of Gecko Moria, watching him coldly, as if the execution officer was facing the prisoner in his hands. A large number of small but slender silver needles were summoned, surrounded Gecko Moria, and pierced in from his body. Itachi blocked Gecko Moria's voice, but judging from the way Moria was broken, his cry must be terrible. In the world of moon reading, Gecko Moria, whose body was poked numerous small holes with silver needles, did not die. This is a blood man, and the dense holes are dripping with blood. The blood is fake, the wound is fake, but the pain is real. At the moment when he passed out, Gecko Moria smiled in relief, but didn't know that this was just the beginning of hell. Itachi also laughed. He saw too many scenes like this in 2.6, and he seemed to be able to enjoy it today. Gecko Moria felt that he had had a long dream, in which he suffered all kinds of torture. Fortunately, this is just a dream, but why is it so real? Really, his whole body is still aching. Gecko Moria opened his eyes, and he realized that it was not right. It was not a dream. He still had the blood-colored world before his eyes, with countless silver needles and the ferret who looked at him coldly. Once again, Moria reviewed the nightmare just now, painful like a piercing heart. After fainting and waking up again and again, Gecko Moria received Itachi's most enthusiastic monthly reading service. Reading in the moon world seems to have spent several cycles, in reality it is only a second. After Itachi finished her monthly reading, Gecko Moria fell straight down. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 483. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. At the beginning of the battle, Moria fell to the ground in the surprised eyes of Smokey and Snug. It can be known from Moria's weak breath that he is not dead, but his condition is obviously not very good. Smokey. Snug. Smokey's heart was broken. She didn't know what happened to Moria, but it didn't prevent her from despising Moria in her heart. The big talk in front was more than anyone else, but when the fight really started, he was the first to lie down. Alas, even if this Moria is terminally ill or has a heart disease, don't come to the battlefield to die. Even if you die, you have to cheat your teammates. Smokey and Snug were too surprised by Moria's sudden fall, and didn't notice the dignity flashing on Itachi's face. In order to solve Moria at one time, Itachi was also expensive. Moon reading is the strongest illusion in Mangekyo Sharingan. Its effect is powerful, but it has many limitations. Not only does the eyes have to look at each other, the operation distance must also be 5 meters, and it will also cause a lot of mental burden on the operator. Not to mention the enhanced version of the monthly reading that Moria used. Compared to the normal version, Moria would suffer several more rounds of torture. But the price is that Itachi has recovered to more than 60% of chakra, and now only 40% is left. This kind of chakra consumption is not worth the loss in this battle, and Moria owes it too much. Advertisement. Itachi made up his mind and continued to struggle with Smokey and Snug to delay time. A red flame is generated by Itachi. Since you plan to fight, Susanoo is indispensable to protect yourself. Of course, it's just Susanoo's primary form, with only a few ribs protecting him. Smokey drew out the long sword behind it. This sword was really long, almost 2 meters long, and only a foot long clan like her could easily carry it on his back. The average person carrying it on his back is like putting a bamboo pole on his back. Snug is also gearing up, wanting to make the sandbag Big Fist and Itachi affectionate. But to disappoint them, he made up his mind to stop using a lot of chakra, and began to use all kinds of weird tactics to detour in the two offenses. Smokey and Snug also saw Itachi's unpredictable illusion and realized the horror of Itachi's eyes. If Chin Luo is just a primary user of Sharingan's illusion, then Itachi is the magician of the illusion world. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. All kinds of illusions came in the hands of Itachi. Often when they look at each other, Smokey and Snug fall into the trap of merging several illusions. Setup illusion makes Smokey and Snug fall into the multiple traps of illusion. The Black Crow and Itachi's illusionary skills cooperated with each other, making the two dumbly unable to distinguish whether these crows were real or fake, whether it was pretending to be Itachi, or hidden other attacks. Unlike the crow summoned by Chin Luo, which is just an illusion, the crow of Itachi is real and a summoned beast cultivated by him and Shisui. This crow summoned beast can help Itachi release an illusion, bubble, that can be successful without looking at each other, as well as an illusion clone, which is hard to guard against. Several times Smokey and Snug thought that they had broken the illusion, but they were caught in a new level of illusion, and they treated it as a frantic attack by Itachi. It also lost that Itachi's illusion was strong enough to make people feel that the fighting style was completely different. Both of them thought the other was Itachi. Advertisement. After receiving several lessons, Smokey and Snug became fearful. Even if Itachi really stood in front of them, they didn't dare to take any shots casually. Because Smokey and Snug would wonder if the ferret on the opposite side is real. In fact, they already subconsciously think that the ferrets they see are all illusions and are fake, whether they are their own people who have been trapped by the illusion. Will after not being able to fight, it was discovered that it was an illusion clone, would it be deprived of the body's ability to act because of the illusion? With so many things to consider, this battle is basically impossible to fight. Smokey and Snug were on guard, and it was clear that the two of them beat a ferret, but it was as if they were besieged by thousands of troops. But there is a reason why Smokey and Snug are so neurotic. In the middle, Itachi directly added fierce material to the two of them in the illusion. Smokey and Snug were hit by the illusion called victory, almost at the same time. In the illusion trap, the two of them struggled to defeat Itachi, but when they got the fruits of victory, they were stabbed by Itachi's body and the owner behind them. Relying on their strong sense of crisis, both Smuggy and Snug avoided the deadly shuriken thrown by Itachi. Only long cuts were made on their faces and chest behind them. This is also the only wound Itachi personally left on these two people. After that, Itachi gave up this meaningless behavior. This kind of extremely real degree of realism, the long process of illusion, and it consumes Itachi 10% chakra, but because of the strong sense of crisis between the two, they avoided the attack from reality. However, although the illusion didn't really knock down Smokey and Snug this time, the effect was similar. The two men can't believe the fact that they defeated Itachi now. How ironic, isn't it? After being bitten by a snake for 3 years, I was afraid of well ropes, and I was talking about how Smokey and Snug are now. Of course, Itachi also has nothing to do with Smokey and Snug, unless he uses more advanced illusion monthly reading and other abilities in Mangekyo Sharingan. Otherwise, ordinary magic, fire style, ninjutsu and physique will have little effect on these two people. Advertisement. But whether it's a monthly reading, Amaterasu or a complete Susanoo, the level of chakra consumption cannot be accepted by Itachi. So the situation remains so stalemate. True and false, false and true, Smokey and Snug were completely lost in Itachi's illusion tactics, and they couldn't distinguish between reality and fantasy. After feeling that it was almost the same, Itachi left a clone and continued to play with the two. As long as there is no sudden attack like Moria, this clone should be able to drag Smokey and Snug for a long time. It's solved. Tsunade asked when Itachi came back again. Hold it on, chakra isn't enough. Itachi replied briefly, without saying anything about the difficulty. Although Smokey and Snug are not as good as Cracker and Katakuri, they are not simple roles. What's more, Itachi also killed a Moria in seconds. If it weren't for the world's too little knowledge of illusion, Itachi would still fall into a disadvantage in the face of the Siege of the Three. Itachi and Tsunade continued to observe the battle. Both of them discovered that the combined forces did not use their best. Just like the tactics of adding fuel, the battle has been stalemate here, and the forces of both sides have been continuously absorbed into this meat grinder. It seems that the coalition forces are plotting something. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 484. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The so-called refueling tactic is actually a tentative attack method. It generally refers to the method of using small groups of troops to attack one by one, which is like adding fuel to an oil lamp. One time is not enough, and then more, not enough, and more. This tactic has some defensive effects, but it is the road to defeat in the hands of the offense. Tsunade and Itachi didn't think that enemy commanders would make such a mistake. The act of snatching the entrance of the undersea tunnel just amazed them. Moreover, the defensive power of the Fishman Island is limited. As long as the united forces fight steadily, they will always be able to break through the line of defense in some time. There is no need to apply constant pressure like now to attract all the defenders on the Fishman Island. It's a pity that the ant of the time who is steadily fighting and many pirates who are eager for quick success can't wait. What they want is a victory like a broken bamboo. In other words, smart people don't make a lot of uncomfortable maneuvers in front of a handy victory. At this time, the guards of the Fishman Island on the bright side, except for a small number of guards staying at Dragon Palace, were all in the harbor. The coalition forces do this if they want to catch it all in one go, or do they plan to do something? Tsunade and Itachi looked at each other, a sly flash in their eyes. Buru! Buru! Hearing the sound, Doflamingo took a phone worm out of his arms. Advertisement. Well, it's me. Okay. After a short conversation, Doflamingo said to the ant, Auntie, the fleet at that end is about to reach the target point. Very well. Let the people below prepare and act according to plan. At this time, Charlotte Linlin showed her demeanor of a great pirate, majestic and with the aura of the world, and will not be weakened by that blessed appearance. Minute. Mother, please allow me to go down and prepare first. Doflamingo said, bending over slightly. Charlotte Linlin looked at Doflamingo, with an evil smile on that face. Under the huge sunglasses, he couldn't see his eyes clearly. It was a bit elusive, just like his code name. Joker. A clown with a mask. Charlotte Linlin nodded and said yes. Mom, this Doflamingo's mind is probably not simple. Charlotte Perospero, the eldest son of the Charlotte family, said to the ant. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Yeah, a very ambitious and sophisticated guy. This is an absolute villain, and New World will have his place in a few years. But don't worry, he is a smart guy who knows how to offend us. No, it will be messy, said the ant looking at Doflamingo who was going away. The east side of the Fishman Island is on the other side of the undersea tunnel. At this time, a fleet of 15 ships was heading here. After the opening of the undersea tunnel, although the craftsman who coated the ship lost more than half of his business, he was not completely unemployed. From the Fishman Island to New World, still need to use coating technology. With the opening of the undersea tunnel, The most dangerous route between the Chambordyan Islands and the Fishmen Island has been secured, and these ferry masters have also established themselves on the Fishmen Island. Advertisement. Although the route between the Fishmen Island and New World is very safe, it cannot be said that it is impossible to reach the Fishmen Island from New World through coating, but at least it is very difficult. The reason is simple: there is no material. If a ship wants to dive into the deep sea, it must be coated with a coating or take a submarine. Submarines are not even equipped with marine vehicles. In the next 2 decades, it seems that only the Red Heart pirates of Trafalgar Law used submarines as pirate ships. Except for the Chambord Islands and the Fishmen Island, there is no other place that can produce bubbles and archy mangrove resins that can be used as coating materials. Both bubbles and alkali mangrove resin are extremely difficult to transport. The former will break if there is a slight bump, and the latter will quickly oxidize and lose as a coating material after leaving the alkali mangrove without a period of time. Deactivity. And Yarki mangrove resin has always been a resource strictly controlled by Marine, and it is impossible to smuggle in large quantities. For these 15 coated ships, the coalition forces thought to have spent a lot of effort, otherwise how could they be a surprise soldier? Because of the surprise at the exit of the undersea tunnel, the Murloc troops stationed at the East Port were all to support. At this moment, there were only 2 or 3 Murlocs on duty in the port. At least on the surface. The Fishmen Island almost unsuspectingly exposed his back to this strange soldier. You can even easily imagine that after these fleets log in, the entire the Fishmen Island will fall, and the fish fighting in the west. Defenders will also be flanked back and forth. The 3 Murloc soldiers who stayed behind were panicked when they saw the 15 coated fleets, even if it was too late to inform the troops on the west side. What are you panicking, soldier? As the Murloc soldier was holding the harpoon tremblingly in the harbor, a voice came from behind him. The soldier was taken aback, and quickly turned around and saw the minister right and a tall human next to him. Behind them were 2 groups of people, a group of Murlocs and a group of pirates. Advertisement. The right minister. The enemy attack. The Murloc soldier almost collapsed on the ground after seeing the right minister, pointing at the 15 ships in the sea not far away. The minister right sighed helplessly at the quality of his own soldiers. Eliminate the members of the Pirate Sun Regiment, the defense force of the Fishmen Island is not enough at all. Basically, a pirate who has offered a reward of over 200 million can occupy the Fishmen Island. When Chin Luo first came, the Fishmen Island was cleared by an unknown spider pirate group, and now it can resist the attack of the coalition forces. In addition to relying on the defensive positions and the activeness of the Flowing Cloud pirates, it was also thanks to the cooperation of the joint forces that it could barely achieve a 50-50 mark. Lord Whitebeard laughed. The minister right leaned over and said to the man beside him, who was really Whitebeard. Ha ha ha. Let's not talk about it. These little bastards made me wait until now to see me clean them up. Whitebeard laughed and brought embarrassing things, and walked to the front of the port alone. The 2 teams behind him also followed. Shake fist. Whitebeard stuck the naginata on the ground, lay his fists with both hands, pulled back to accumulate the force, and quickly struck out at the same time, fists facing each other, hitting out one by one. These 2 punches are the same as hitting the space barrier. The space in front was broken into pieces like glass. A lot of vibrations poured out from the broken traces, and the earth on the bottom of the sea, the ocean crowded together like jigsaw puzzles that were disrupted. The earth swelled, the seawater flowed back, the coatings of 15 ships shattered in an instant, and several ships were directly turned into fragments. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, Second Element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 485. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Itachi and Tsunade are not without any preparations. As a ninja and illusion master, Itachi should not be too simple to find information in the world of pirates. The person who was manipulated by Itachi to speak out the joint forces plan could not even leave any memory of being manipulated. When Itachi and Tsunade saw that the joint forces were acting strangely, they knew that the opponents were already on the road, so they asked Minister Wright to bring them to Whitebeard in the Fishmen Island secretly to intercept another group of enemies. If the united forces don't engage in these mobs and crush them from the front, Itachi and Tsunade really can't help it. Of course, the idea of uniting forces is also good. As long as the auspicious soldiers succeed, they will not only be able to quickly break the Fishmen Island, but also be able to surround all the members of the floating cloud pirate group, and none of them will run away. However, all the plans are risky. If it wasn't for Itachi's powerful intelligence detection ability to get all their intelligence in advance, their plan would really be successful. Who would have thought that the joint forces would spend such a large price to transport the bubbles of the Fishman Island and Archie mangrove resin to New World to coat the boat, and then dive from New World to the Fishman Island it? The crack on the front of Baihu 363's fist gradually disappeared, and the vibration also dissipated. If you want to save people, you should hurry up. Don't you say you want to exchange the people on the boat for ransom. These people can't last long in the sea. Whitebeard turned his head and said to the pair of murlocs behind him. Advertisement. The two teams were brought in according to Itachi's request. A group of murlocs were drawn from the defenders to swim the fastest, and the group of pirates was brought by Whitebeard. The pirates brought by Whitebeard had only one job, and that was to rescue and tie up the pirates on the 15 ships when they were brought back to the Fishman Island by the murlocs. Whitebeard didn't understand why the members of the Luyun pirates group had the same virtues as Luyun. When Marco was caught before, he was also trying to blackmail devil fruit from him. Whitebeard still doesn't know the fact that Luyun is not dead. This matter is also kept secret in the Fishman Island, except for the few members of the Luyun pirate group, which is also known to the Murloc King Neptune. In Whitebeard's view, the flowing cloud pirates are all in the eyes of money. The demand for devil fruit often only requires quantity, and there is no requirement for the quality and ability of the fruit. What's the use of those messy animalism and Paramesh's devil fruit to come over? Do you want to make a fruit platter? Whitebeard couldn't help thinking of the taste when he ate shock fruit. It's not that Whitebeard is exaggerating, but devil fruit, which is recognized in the world, tastes similar to shit. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Although Whitebeard has never eaten shit, believe him, there is nothing more unpalatable than devil fruit, not even shit. The Murloc soldiers successively fished out the pirates on 15 ships from the bottom of the sea. Although their movements were already fast, they still died close to 1/3, and the rest were thrown into the fishmen. There was only half of life left when I was on the island. Most of those who died were unable to withstand the pressure of the deep sea and were squeezed to death. Fortunately, some important figures are still alive due to their strength. Whitebeard also saw a few acquaintances inside. After all the rescue work was over and all the rescued people were imprisoned, Whitebeard took out a phone worm from his arms. Confirming that no captives resisted was one of the tasks that Itachi got rid of to Whitebeard. Advertisement. Whitebeard dialed the phone. Son, I'm an old man. Yes, the first phase of the plan has been completed, and I'm about to rush to the front battlefield. Your side also starts as planned. After putting away the phone worm, Whitebeard greeted the minister right and left with his team of pirates. At the same time, Marco and a group of captains of the Whitebeard pirate group sat on the deck of the Moby Dick. Among them was an extremely large long table with charts of the Chambord Islands and its surroundings. There are several black chess pieces on the sea chart near the entrance of the undersea tunnel, while some scattered white chess pieces are placed in the nearby islands, ports and sea areas. It is not difficult to see that these black chess pieces represent the fleet of United Forces, and the white chess pieces are the ships of the Whitebeard pirates. From the chart, the Whitebeard pirate group has completed the encirclement of the remaining ships of the combined forces. After getting Whitebeard's reply, these captains all stood up, and it was time to harvest the net after so long. Okay, Mr. Itachi, get out of the illusion that is placed on the ship. After Marco finished, these people looked at the mysterious man with a hood and a cloud cloak at the other end of the long table. There is still Itachi's clone here. The other captains of the Whitebeard pirate group only knew that this mysterious person was called Itachi, a member of the Flowing Cloud pirate group, who had magical abilities, and they didn't know the rest. This avatar of Itachi nodded, and when Marco asked him to fire a flare, a flash of red light in his eyes disappeared. Advertisement. At the same time, the sea near the Chambord Islands and the port on the side flickered like a mirage, and the Whitebeard pirates and their helper ships gradually appeared on the sea. At this time, there are quite a few people watching the excitement on the Chambord Islands. This kind of boat trick has broken through the glasses of countless people. The Moby Dick took the lead, leading the ships of the Whitebeard pirate regiment toward the ships of the coalition that were still on the sea. By the time everyone reacted, the Whitebeard pirate group had completed the siege of the combined forces. I am Marco, the captain of the Whitebeard pirate group. In the name of Whitebeard, I order you to give up resistance and get caught. With a clear bird cry, a blue flame burned from Marco from the head of the United Forces fleet. The ship descended slowly and stopped above the exit of the undersea tunnel. His confident expression and the descending posture of the gods seemed to declare victory for his own side. What he said resounded through the sky, causing everyone to look up at him. Marco, don't be too arrogant, who are you bluffing? Those who are still on it are generally not the main force of the various forces. Marco thought that it was possible to scare these people to tremble by relying on his own way of boarding. Who did I say? It turned out to be Jack the Drow. Was it thrown on by your captain again? Marco said and made a tisk-tusk voice, obviously mocking Jack the Drow's weakness. When Jack the Drow looked extremely ugly, Marco continued, you can try to resist, but the artillery fire of the Whitebeard pirates does not have eyes. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 486. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Jack the Drow snorted and stopped provoking Marco. The situation is better than people. If Marco is really offended, he might be killed by the Whitebeard pirates. Of course, this does not mean that Jack the Drow is at peace. Seeing his constant gaze at the undersea tunnel, Marco knew what the hell Jack the Drow was making. Don't think about looking for a chance to rush into the undersea tunnel. I am not a display. I don't know what happens if the ship falls apart in the undersea tunnel. Threats, blatant threats, and although Marco said to everyone, it was Jack the Drow. Don't look at the situation now being controlled by the Whitebeard pirates, but as long as someone takes the lead, it will be messed up immediately, and what Marco has to do is to stifle this momentum. Marco, don't overdo it. With so many forces here, does the Whitebeard pirate group want to die with half of the New World pirates in the future? Following Jack the Drow's words, the leaders of many forces on it again he breathed hard and looked at Marco with scorching eyes. In the future, what is going on? You wouldn't be naive to think that we arranged so many to capture you. Let me tell you that the boss who entered the Fishmen Island is now also stepping into the trap. After today is over, most of you pirate groups will be removed from the sea. Marco said with disdain, but there were some things he didn't say. These delisted pirates would be absorbed by the Whitebeard pirates and become a new fleet under Whitebeard. The information given by Marco was too shocking, and some people immediately contacted the boss of the Fishmen Island to understand the situation and pass the news of the encirclement on it. Advertisement. For these people, Marco did not intend to stop them at all. Just as they didn't believe what Marco said, their captain said that the next victory was about to be won. Would these people believe it? Some ships began to surrender to the Whitebeard pirates, even if they were all one after another. But after having a role model, the Whitebeard pirates only need to exert some pressure, and these people will know how to choose. A smile appeared on the corner of Marco's mouth, and this time the encirclement and suppression of the sea fleet of the coalition forces had already won. In the Fishmen Island, Itachi, who kept sending clones as firefighters, sank suddenly, his exhaustion doubled, and at the same time his chakra returned to its heyday. Itachi realized after a moment's thought that the clone that had been summoned a few days ago had automatically faded after completing the task. Chakra, who gave back, instantly filled his body. Because the recovery speed of chakra is extremely fast in this world, Itachi also thought of using the clone to carry chakra to make several chakra memories for himself. Finally, considering the drawbacks of this method, Itachi gave up this idea. One is that the chakra that the avatars give back is discounted, and 90% of the avatars of the number of chakras can only give back less than 70% in the end. The second is that the burden on the body is too great, especially the kind of fatigue. If you add 1 or 2 clones, Itachi estimates that he will be exhausted and fainted on the spot. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The above is done. Itachi said to Tsunade. Well, how much chakra do you still have? The opponent will receive news soon, and the offense will not be as gentle as it is now. Tsunade is moving muscles and bones. If the opponent's offensive is too strong later, she will have to enter the field. Just filled up. This is really good news. Neptune, you will help stare at the battlefield when you can't resist it. If you can't resist it, you will send a signal to retreat to Dragon Palace. After receiving Itachi's reply, Tsunade chuckled slightly, and then turned the signal to retreat. Handed over to Neptune. Advertisement. The signal flare the size of a rolling pin was a small firecracker in Neptune's hand. He took it and nodded to express his understanding. The next thing is to hold on until Chin Luo comes back, the three of them thought so in their hearts. On the boat of the pirate group of the United Forces Ant. Mom, it's okay. There is news from above that the ship of the Whitebeard pirate group has surrounded them. The Ant's third son, Charlotte Dafu, ran in and said, kneeling on the ground. Whitebeard pirates, aren't they staying in the old den? It is not easy to come to Chambord from New World, let alone arrive in a short time, unless the Whitebeard pirates' ship can fly. Even though Charlotte Dafu was the son of the Ant, he didn't know this kind of thing, but he also didn't dare to speak out. He shuddered and shuddered, not daring to speak. Where are the 15 sneak attack fleets? A bad premonition flashed through the Ant's heart. From the very beginning, the 15 ships could not be contacted. Doda's sweat kept coming out of Charlotte Dafu's head, fearing that he would be angry because of it. Trash, are you all trash? The Ant stood up from her seat so angrily, the expressions of Thundercloud Zeus and Sun Prometheus beside her also turned hideous. Then we are going to withdraw from the meeting to solve Whitebeard, mother. At this time, only the eldest son Charlotte Perospero dared to speak. No, the Whitebeard pirate group will solve it later. Now we will shoot down the Fishman Island and let all the people below attack. The Ant turned into a real murderous intent and directly locked onto the tall Neptune through the battlefield. Neptune. I only felt a breath in my chest and almost fell to his knees on the ground. Advertisement. 0. Regardless of whether people from other forces agreed or not, under the Ant's threat they all killed the Fishman Island. Together with the Ant came to the battlefield Albuff's gun Weo. The furious Ant went into a state of madness, and as soon as she stepped into the battlefield she resorted to swordsmanship from the giants. The giant's sword energy penetrated the entire battlefield like a white pillar. Both the pirates of the coalition forces or the Murloc soldiers dissipated like bubbles in the white pillar. Mom. Several cadres in the Ant's pirate group wanted to say that there were friends on their side in front of them, but they were stopped by Charlotte Perospero. The current Ant doesn't seem to be able to hear persuasion. Elbow's spear Weguo's white pillar went forward and pointed directly at Neptune. At this time, Neptune's legs were still soft. But it didn't matter. A figure quickly came to the front of Neptune from the edge of the battlefield. Accompanied by the sound of space fragmentation, the entire battlefield was shaken, and the giant sword energy of Elbaf's spear Weo was blocked. Down. Charlotte Linlin, your temper is getting bigger and bigger. The smoke dissipated, and the person blocking the sword gas slowly emerged, first with a naginata, and then the familiar crescent-shaped white beard. Edward Newgate. After seeing the person, the Ant calmed down from her anger. An opponent of this level was not something she could deal with in a crazy state. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 487. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The Ant's giant sword Chi, regardless of the enemy and me, and the appearance of Whitebeard, caused the entire battlefield to stop briefly. Even Ninetales and Kaido, who have been playing their own, looked at Whitebeard. It's great Whitebeard, I thought you were afraid to come out in your old nest. This is the best way. When I kill this stinky fox, I will meet you. The 4 big pirates of the last era will compare you, it's easy to find. Kaido grinned loudly, his face and teeth were covered with dark red blood, similar to the evil spirits from hell. So much the better. Kaido is really a treasure, and the combined forces have picked up a ghost. Forgive me that ordinary people's thinking can't keep up with Kaido's. If it's not for the strength, I believe that many people from the joint forces want to jump up and slap Kaido. If you want to kill the old man, Kaido, you probably don't have this capability yet. Ninetales is very upset. In the world of Naruto, when Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama are fighting between the two gods, it is said that they can be solved easily. Now even Kaido, who is the most tied with it, dares to ignore it so much. Who gave Kaido such courage? Liang Jingru. Ninetales opened his mouth to Kaido and it was a surprise tail beast cannon. Even if the power wasn't enough to injure Kaido, he would have to confuse his face. Advertisement. Haha, Kaido. Waiting for you to win Ninetales and tell me your big words. Ninetales, I am not familiar with this girl, so I beat him desperately. Seeing Kaido being shot by Ninetales. In a rush, Whitebeard has never thought Ninetales so cute. The strength of 9 tails, Whitebeard has personally verified, those powerful moves, there is no exhaustion of energy, even he may not be able to play. Kaido's strength, Whitebeard, has also seen him, and it is estimated that he is about the same. Whitebeard, wait, I'll come to you right away. Kaido rushed towards 9 tails again after Kaido finished. After a brief pause, the two monsters fell in love and killed each other cracklingly. Without Kaido's interruption, the ant met Whitebeard again. Everyone, whether it's the Murloc side or the United Forces, consciously made room for the fighting between the two. Whitebeard's naginata and the long sword made by Napoleon in the double-horned hat in the ant's hand were put together. A gang wind rolled up from the place where the two faced each other, and swayed from the center of the battlefield to the 4 sides. As the white mist spread, there was a sense of vibration. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. At this time the battlefield of the port was divided into 3 parts. On the far left is the place where 9 tails and Kaido fought each other. There will be various explosions at any time due to the attacks of 9 tails tail cannon and Kaido. In the middle is the battlefield between Whitebeard and Anti. From time to time around these two people there will be sunken ground, blazing flames burning the sky, and thundering. Occasionally there are exaggerated collisions between huge sword chi and sword chi. Both of these places belong to the battlefield between monsters that can be as far away as possible. Even if the field is empty, believe me, no one wants to cross these 2 places. Even a cat with 9 lives is not enough to accidentally hurt these 4 monsters. Advertisement. The last place where the real soldiers of the 2 forces fought was less than 1/3 of the far right of the port. It is like an invisible boundary drawn on the battlefield. Even if it is crowded, the Murlocs and pirates are tacitly fighting within the range. Whitebeard, didn't you stay in the nest? The big sword in the ant's hand didn't know how many times it had touched Whitebeard's naginata. How can the Whitebeard pirates not participate in such a big thing? Some simple blindfolds can hide the Whitebeard pirates' deeds. Anyway, that's what the red-eyed kid said. Whitebeard tilted his neck to the left, avoiding the flames ejected by Prometheus from the ant's sun, and at the same time exerting force in his hand. The vibrating force spread from the naginata, and blasted the ant's sword out. In response to the ant's offensive, Whitebeard said. Whitebeard called Itachi the red-eyed kid. If you ignore the thrilling battle and destructive power between the two, Whitebeard and the ant are really just like they are in Legia. Whitebeard, if you stop now, you will be divided into 3 levels in the income after I lay down the Fishman Island. After the big sword that Napoleon turned into the double-horned hat was shaken off, the ant was not in a hurry and waved in the direction of Junfei, and the sword automatically ran towards the ant's direction. And during this period before the sword arrived, the black armament Haki wrapped her hands. Entrapped in flames and lightning, Armament Haki's right fist hit Whitebeard's head. Flame crit, ant's fame physique. Whitebeard calmly held the naginata in his left hand, and his right hand was also covered with Armament Haki, condensing the power of vibration, and hit the ant's fire crit in the sound of tearing the space. Whitebeard's fist, black with hot white light, from top to bottom. Advertisement. Ant's fist, black with flames and thunder, from bottom to top. Just like a meteor colliding with a meteorite, the tip of the needle meets the wheat on. With a pop, it feels like the space has been destroyed by these two people. A destructive force field was generated, shaking the soil around them into fragments, and even gravity became messy, and the fragments of the stone floated into the air. And where they were, a big pit was sunken down. You told me to stop, but if I stopped just now, you would blow my head with a punch. These two people still thought to laugh at such a big movement. Huh, Sengoku, what is your purpose? You and Luyun have a grudge, and now Luyun is dead, why should you join in the bad things of the Fishmen Island? The Fishmen Island promised you. What, after the joint forces have taken the Fishmen Island, they can also satisfy you. At this time, the ant shouldn't say how much the Fishmen Island promised you, should I unite the forces to double it for you? Not sincere enough, it's no wonder Whitebeard is not at all interested. At this time, use the name of United Force 2.3 to fool me, Charlotte Linlin, don't you think everyone is a fool, or you think I am also a weak chicken that you can handle at will? It seems to be bored with the thundercloud Zeus and the sun Prometheus that constantly release lightning and flames. Whitebeard stuck the naginata on the ground, clenched his fists with his left and right hands at the same time, his black fist grasped the light of destruction in his heart. Two vibrating fists were aligned, one on the left and the other on the right of the thundercloud Zeus and the sun Prometheus on both sides of the ant. The space fragmentation traces passed directly, even if the thundercloud Zeus and the sun Prometheus released all the lightning and flames under the control of the ant, they could not escape the fate of being scattered. When the attack was over, the reunited thundercloud Zeus and sun Prometheus did not look like before. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 488. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Thundercloud Zeus and sun Prometheus, as an ant, produced hormats by injecting souls, possessing human thought and power. But they are not biological in nature, and they can recondense after being planned. Of course, they were hit harder to release the power of lightning and flames. If the thundercloud Zeus and the sun Prometheus were the sun and the thundercloud before, the two little guys now reunited are a lighter and a battery. There is no threat at all. Only when the ant re-injects soul energy can she restore her previous strength. Similarly, in order to solve the two annoying little things of thundercloud Zeus and sun Prometheus, Whitebeard also paid the price. The fire and thunder and lightning that was doing desperate fights poured out to Whitebeard at the last moment. At this time, Whitebeard not only received a fire crit from his ant on his left shoulder, but also half of his beard on his right was burned by the fierce flames. Ah, my beard, Charlotte Linlin, you ruined my beard. There is no discussion now. Whitebeard didn't care about the burn on his left shoulder. 19, squinting at his ruined beard, facing angrily. Said the ant. The ant was trembling with Whitebeard's behavior. She obviously found it by herself, so Whitebeard still has to put on an expression that blames you. She also loves her thundercloud Zeus and sun Prometheus. Since you insist on doing this, then I will fulfill you and send you and the Whitebeard pirates to hell. Holding Napoleon in the double-horned hat who returned to her side, the ant pointed the sword in her hand at Whitebeard and said fiercely. The battle between Auntie and Whitebeard started again, and it was even more intense than before. The ant, who is gradually entering a state of rage, vents her strength unscrupulously, and from time to time will burst out with strong strange sounds and conqueror's hockey. Advertisement. In order to fight the ant, Whitebeard also exhausted all his strength. Once the blade energy and vibration rippled away, they could not be restrained. The fight between the two four emperors was miserable for the pirates of the nearest coalition forces. Gradually, the battlefield belonging to the pirates and the Murlocs was compressed even smaller, from 1/3 of the entire port to 1/4. No one wants to die in vain. Look at those who were affected by the attacks of two big men. It's really miserable one by one, and the bones are lighter. After the joint forces launched a general offensive, the situation on the Murloc side became more and more dangerous. Tsunade and Itachi also had to enter and fight in person, but even this couldn't help but lose. In the chaos, a group of people kept rushing straight to the port. Such obvious behavior is impossible not to be discovered, and a large amount of firepower has been concentrated here. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. A whole team of members of the Pirate Sun group were besieging this group of pirates, but this group of pirates did not spare their lives and continued to rush towards the Murloc city until they were finally wiped out. Because the direction the group rushed towards was the far right side of the port, Neptune didn't care much. After waiting for everyone to stop paying attention to the fallen corpse, the two pirates got up from the corpses and quickly rushed to the city of the Fishmen Island. The Murloc soldiers on the side turned a blind eye to this. The two men ran all the way after breaking through the port, knowing that Dragon Palace had appeared in front of them. Young master, Dragon Palace City is here, can you tell me all the plans now, otherwise I won't be able to cooperate with you. It was Virgo, a senior cadre of Don Quixote who could be called the young master. The other person will naturally only be Doflamingo himself. Advertisement. Doflamingo used the battle and the cover of the corpse to take Virgo to break through the defensive line of the Fishmen Island and sneak to Dragon Palace. In this attack on the Fishmen Island, the participating forces are all pretending to be ghosts. In contrast, the Don Quixote family's plan is more bold. As early as participating in the joint forces, Doflamingo decided to take advantage of the chaos and sneak into Dragon Palace. The battle between the combined forces and the Fishmen Island will be his best cover. As long as the plan is successful, no matter which side wins in the end, Don Quixote family will be the winner. In the Don Quixote family, there are only a few top cadres who know this plan, and what the top cadres know is only part of the plan. Now Doflamingo's line clone is still staying on its own ship and pretending to be. The only one brought out by Doflamingo was Virgo, who was agile. Parasite String. This is an ability of Doflamingo string fruit. Through Parasite String, Doflamingo can manipulate the physical movements of others. So a group of pirates and Murloc soldiers under his control led and acted in a failed breakout drama. In other words, whether it was the gang of pirates who broke through, or the Murloc soldiers and members of the Sun Pirates who were besieging them, they were all controlled by Doflamingo. As for the difficulty of this, if it is this number of living people, it is indeed very difficult for Doflamingo, who has not yet awakened Devil Fruit's ability, but what if those are dead people and corpses? Later, when the defenders of the Fishman Island retreated, it was discovered that all the soldiers who were on guard had been dead for a long time. And Doflamingo and Virgo both hid among the corpses being manipulated and mixed. Advertisement. Aquaman. Doflamingo said softly in the corridor somewhere in Dragon Palace. What? The Sea King, one of the 3 ancient weapons, 913, will actually be in the Fishman Island. Virgo called out almost in surprise, but after being glared at by Doflamingo, he knew that he was frustrated, and quickly covered his mouth to avoid make a louder voice again. Young master, the subordinate is wrong, what the subordinate needs to do. Virgo said in a low voice. Why did Sea King sit on Sea King in the Fishman Island and the Fishman Island but did not use it? How did the young master know this? Is it because the young master Celestial Dragons has been exposed to more secrets? Although Virgo still had doubts, as a loyal dog, he buried all these unnecessary doubts in his heart. Regarding Virgo's performance, Doflamingo nodded with satisfaction. Virgo's smartness and loyalty were the main reasons Doflamingo only brought him here. Of course, there are also some other people's considerations that several cadres are not suitable for this kind of thing. You stay on guard outside, someone came to try to remind me not to expose yourself. Stopping in front of a room that looked like a study, Doflamingo said to Virgo. Doflamingo seems to be very familiar with the layout of the entire palace of the Fishman Island, and almost went straight to here after entering the Dragon Palace city. This is already the core area of Dragon Palace. If you are not careful, you will encounter the Murlocs who stay in Dragon Palace. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 489. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The room in front of Doflamingo and Virgo is huge. Chin Luo would have some impression if they were here. Isn't this the study room where Neptune worked as an accountant that day? The Murloc kings of Dragon Palace have always been of varying races, and their sizes vary greatly. There are normal human-sized ones, as well as those that are as big as a white star or as small as the sea star of Papago. Therefore, each new generation of Murloc king will rearrange the bedroom and study. But in order to ensure that each generation of Murloc kings can live in the palace, most of the rooms related to the king in Dragon Palace are built according to the maximum specifications. The keyhole of the study door is 6 or 7 meters above the ground. Under the entanglement of the thread, Doflamingo jumped up and came to the front of the keyhole. There is no need for the key to the room at all. Doflamingo has walked the pirate world for so many years. How can he get a name for himself? The next performance is Doflamingo, the habitual thieves. Inserting the arm directly into the keyhole with the thick thigh, the ability of string fruit was activated, and countless thin lines emerged from Doflamingo's hand. These lines continue to stretch, extending into the door lock. After a few seconds, only a click was heard, and the study door had been opened. With this doll, if someone nearby destroys it, I will know. Doflamingo opened the door of the study and handed a doll to Virgo. This is a slap-sized doll made up of various thin lines, and the appearance of Doflamingo can be vaguely seen. Advertisement. This doll should be similar to his line clone, which is a kind of doll made by using the power of Shadow Knight string. However, the role of this doll is relatively small, and the difficulty of making it is much reduced. Everything went according to Doflamingo's plan, until some small accident happened. After arriving in the study, Doflamingo was stunned by the scene in front of him. Books. A large number of books 1 meter long and half a meter wide are stacked like a mountain in the room. Regarding what happened to FCK, Doflamingo said that what he knew directly was not the case. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Opening one of them, Doflamingo found that these were all accounts of the Fishmen Island. When did the accounting of the Fishmen Island all work in the king's study? Anyway, Doflamingo never thought that Neptune was already a professional accountant. As the boss of a new creative force, Doflamingo still knows some financial knowledge. Judging from these books, the financial situation of the Fishmen Island is quite good, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it is daily income. No wonder so many forces are so greedy for the current the Fishmen Island. Wait, the topic seems to have turned to a strange place. Doflamingo hurriedly threw away the ledger in his hand, shaking off other thoughts. What he is looking for is not so simple to put out. Ignoring these ledgers, Doflamingo looked at the 5 huge bookshelves in the room, where everything was normal. The books are restored to the size used by ordinary people. Each bookcase is composed of 16 grids, and each grid is the size of a human library bookcase, and there is a 3-meter high ladder on it. Not every Murloc king is very big, so most of the books are kept in normal size. As for Neptune's bill, that is his personal hobby. Advertisement. Hanging from the top of the room by a thin white wire, Doflamingo moved freely in the air, looking around on the bookshelf. The order of the books is arranged according to the time when the books were published. Judging from the books on these shelves, the history of the Fishmen Island has been more than 1,000 years, and it can be traced back hundreds of years before the emergence of the Church of the Undead. Navigation Charts is a series of books published in the millennium, that is, before the emergence of the world government, which records the exploration of the entire world by a large number of adventurers at that time. Not many people know this book, and even O'Hara may not have the entire series of books. And now this set of 42 books in total, one of them is on the shelf. If this were to let the O'Hara scholars know, they would probably be crazy about these books. Doflamingo is not a scholar, and he doesn't know the preciousness of these books. Similarly, he is not looking for these books, but where they are stored. Nautical Charts is located in the upper right corner of the first grid on the left side of the top layer of the 4th bookshelf. The wooden boards extended from these grids are large enough for an adult human to walk normally. Doflamingo took these books out and put them aside, tapping on the shelf where the books were originally placed. Somewhere, after being knocked by Doflamingo, there was a touching sound. Doflamingo secretly said, "There is a play in his heart." This crisp voice shows that the middle of the mezzanine is empty and there are things in it. Advertisement. After confirming that this is the mechanism, the next thing will not trouble him Doflamingo. With a round of percussion, coupled with string fruits exploration, within a few seconds, Doflamingo opened the secret grid. A book lies quietly in the secret compartment, about half a meter long and 30 centimeters wide. Judging from the cover of the book, this book is quite historical. The pages of the book are made of the skin of some kind of sea beast, and on the cover are the scales of this kind of sea beast, which also exudes a gloomy cold light. The celestial dragons caught the royal family of the Fishmen Island, and the information obtained from him is also true. Doflamingo muttered in a low voice while opening the ancient book. The content of the books is not much. They use the common words of the mainland thousands of years ago. If others may not understand it, Doflamingo, as the celestial dragons of the past and present, has still learned part of it. The top of the book records all the information related to Neptune in detail. It turns out that Sea King turned out to be a Murloc with awakened talent. It seems that those old guys also know this very well, so they haven't come to steal this book. After reading a part, Doflamingo put down the book. After learning that the Sea Emperor was not some kind of mechanical weapon, the purpose of this trip suddenly lost a large part. No matter how you look at it, it's not like there are Murlocs on the Fishmen Island that have awakened this ability, otherwise the battle will not be so embarrassing. Doflamingo doesn't understand the other content in the book, and there is no need to read it. Except for the explanation, most of them are how to train the awakened Sea Emperor to master his own abilities. However, this does not prevent Doflamingo from following the contents of this ancient book, using the ability of string fruit to copy exactly the same thing composed of thin lines. Those nautical charts that were taken out were also put back one by him, and everything seemed like nothing happened. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 490. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In line with the principle of thief not leaving nothing, Doflamingo originally wanted to take this book away directly. However, I was concerned that this book was too huge on the one hand, and on the other hand there was a strong smell of salted fish on it. Doflamingo's instinct tells him that once he goes out with this book, it is likely to cause a lot of trouble. This ancient book is about the Emperor of the Sea, and it is impossible for the people of the Fishman Island to do nothing to guard against theft and tracking. After measuring the benefits and risks, Doflamingo decisively put down his principles. After completing the copy of the ancient book, Doflamingo's biggest goal of this trip has been completed. Doflamingo counted the time, because knowing that the Sea King was actually the Murloc Awakening, he didn't need to spend time looking for the Sea King. The extra time can just find him some extras. This is the study room of the Murloc royal family that has existed for thousands of years in the world. Doflamingo doesn't think there is a treasure in it. He really didn't have too many treasures such as Poseidon's trident, jewels, and water beads. But unfortunately, none of these things were found. The entire room, in the numbered musical notation, revealed the aura of poverty. Except for the pile of bills of 733, Doflamingo really couldn't find anything representing wealth. This made Doflamingo's heart full of disappointment. Advertisement. At this time, Doflamingo is still too young, and he doesn't want to think about it. The Fishman Island has been weak for so many years, and he didn't know how many times he was robbed. His predecessors took away any valuables, and they would not keep it till now. In the end, Doflamingo found a piece of information on how to domesticate large fish to become a mount in the mezzanine of the Neptune table. But it is also very cheating. The domesticated fishes are all deep-sea fish. It is not a murloc that cannot ride at all, it can only be used for comfort. It was okay before, but Doflamingo rummaged in the study without making any major movements. But when I opened the mezzanine of the Neptune table, the old bar table made a horrible sound, which attracted the people in Dragon Palace. Virgo, who had been on guard, destroyed the doll that Doflamingo gave him. It seems that I can only get here. Sensing that the doll in Virgo's hand was destroyed, Doflamingo murmured, disappointed in the air. Chin Luo, are you back? It was Tautu who was attracted by the sound of the study. Now Dragon Palace is understaffed. In order to prevent Xiaoxiao from infesting, Tautu was asked by Tsunade to come back to guard Dragon Palace first. But Tautu was a step late, and after receiving Virgo's letter, Doflamingo had left the study for the first time. At this moment, above Tautu's head, Doflamingo and Virgo are hanging from the ceiling through thin lines. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Strange. No one. Tautu looked around and left without seeing anyone. There are still many civilians in the main hall of Dragon Palace City, and she is not suitable to be out for too long. After Tautu left, Doflamingo and Virgo landed slowly. Has the young master succeeded? Virgo asked impatiently as soon as he landed. Advertisement. It's a good thing. But depending on some other gains, it's not bad. Doflamingo seems to be playing a riddle, his hand touched the copy of the ancient book he put on his waist, and his eyes kept watching Tautu leave. Direction. Chin Luo. If Doflamingo heard it right, the member of the Luyun Pirates group just called Chin Luo's name. Chin Luo and Luyun are the two most popular names on the sea recently. If you don't know these two people, they are really ignorant. And what Luyun and Chin Luo did not deal with was not a secret among the various forces. However, it now appears that it is not certain how true this discordant rumor is. Members of the Luyun Pirates group call Chin Luo's name. Does this mean that after Luyun's death, Chin Luo will take over the Fishman Island, or does the discord between the two have always been just a disguise for outsiders to see? But no matter what the situation is, it means that Chin Luo will immediately intervene in this battle. In the existing information, Chin Luo has the strength no less than Whitebeard. With such a variable, the trend of this war of the Fishman Island is unclear. It's about victory or defeat. His Don Quixote family must also immediately reformulate its strategy, and now it is necessary to give the family a whole way out, in case the united forces are defeated. With this in mind, Doflamingo immediately returned with Virgo without hesitation. The situation is a bit urgent, and Doflamingo has also left behind the search for the Dragon Palace City Treasury at this time. When the two returned to the port, the Fishman Island's line of defense in the port had become the end of the battle. Without much effort, Doflamingo took Virgo back to his boat before no one noticed it, as if they had left quietly. The Fishmen Island's defense line at the port has basically fallen, and most of the Murloc soldiers have been driven out of the defensive offensive. Advertisement. Finally, Neptune sounded the retreat flares. The surviving Murloc soldiers and members of the Sun Pirate group began to withdraw in the direction of Dragon Palace. Seeing the signal flare, Tsunade breathed a sigh of relief. As the high-end combat force entering the battlefield in the back left, she has been staring at a lot of pressure. At the same time, Tsunade had to deal with several powerful guys, and Chakra was very exhausting. Itachi, Ninetails and Whitebeard all simply withdrew, and the Ant and Kaido didn't mean to stay. Hidan is probably the most unhappy one. 1 second before the evacuation signal was sent, Hidan finally got the blood of Katakuri. As a result, the Cthulhu's curse ritual has not yet begun, and people are about to withdraw. It is strange that Hidan will be happy. However, his arms couldn't squeeze his thighs, and everyone retreated. If he doesn't leave, he will probably be chopped into minced meat by the swarming enemies. Even if he does not die, it will be troublesome. Hidan gritted his teeth and retracted the long thread from the sickle, looked viciously at Katakuri before leaving. Now Hidan is like talking to Tsunade about why he wants to retreat. If she doesn't give him a good reason, Hidan will let her know what Tang Seng is. The joint forces had planned to chase and kill the retreating fish people on the spot. However, he was stopped by Doflamingo in the name of resting the team first and not giving the opposing opportunity a chance. Just kidding. Doflamingo has to plan his retreat during this time. How can these people chase them in a hurry? In the precious intermission time, the Fishmen Island and the joint forces are seizing this opportunity to rearrange their tactics. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 491. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. I don't know if the losses of all parties involved in the reorganization are counted, and the battle losses have reached an unacceptable 0 point. Regardless of whether the combined forces have fully crushed the Fishmen Island defenders in terms of quantity and the quality of their soldiers, they rely on the self-destruction of the Murloc soldiers who are not afraid of death, and the entanglement of high-end combat power. The number of people killed by the coalition forces is frighteningly high. Some of the forces with the highest casualties lost half of their hands after the battle just now. If the loss continues, it is not a question of whether the interests can be divided, but after the capture of the Fishmen Island, the power still has a problem that does not exist. Not to mention that a large part of these deaths were caused by wrong decisions and accidental injuries at the top. But no one dared to mention this, as if there had been no accidental injury. No way. The two super bosses Kaido and Charlotte Linlin are now in a rage. No one is tired of life and dared to throw the pot on these two big guys. During this time, the Don Quixote family quietly moved his ship to the exit of the undersea tunnel. If in the end the united forces are truly defeated, the Don Quixote family ship will take the family members through the tunnel to the Chambord Islands in the first place. Doflamingo remembers that the above is now controlled by the Whitebeard pirates. At that time, even being captured by the Whitebeard pirates is definitely 10,000 times better than falling into the hands of the Murloc. Advertisement. Regardless of the heavy casualties of the coalition forces, the casualties of the Fishmen Island soldiers as the weaker side will only be greater. In the battle at the port just now, the coalition forces are about to kill all the young fish in the Fishmen Island. This kind of almost genocidal hatred, Doflamingo doesn't think the fish people will be soft. In addition, I was fighting for life and death a moment ago, and then I immediately told the other party to treat prisoners kindly, international conventions and the like. Do you think the other party will believe it? Whoever believes is a fool. While the coalition forces were seizing the time to rest, in the Dragon Palace city, the evacuated Murloc soldiers sat on the ground, paralyzed on the ground, with the joy and despair of the rest of their lives on their faces. They don't report any ideas about winning the battle, and they are all numb to death. It is hatred rather than belief that supports them to continue fighting. Neptune did not arrange for these soldiers to meet with the civilians hiding in the Dragon Palace for the time being. With such a heavy casualty, the meeting will only cause commotion. Regarding Qin Luo's ability to resurrect the dead just now, Neptune can't say yet, so he can only come forward to appease the soldiers and civilians. In Neptune's study, where Doflamingo had just sneaked in, several people from the floating cloud pirates were receiving Tsunade's treatment. Ninetales has the most serious injuries, but the life force of the tail beast is really tenacious. Most people kneel after this level of injury. Ninetales is still alive and well. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Ninetales relied on the vitality of its own chakra to heal some simple injuries in the battle. What Tsunade has to do is to connect the broken bones and stimulate it to heal. Tautu and Luju are also in the study, except for Roger, who is inconvenient to walk around. Almost everyone is there. While everyone was there, Tautu told the strange things that had happened before. She asked some soldiers, and they heard the movement made by Doflamingo when he opened the mezzanine of the table. Advertisement. Really, it's indeed possible that someone got into the Dragon Palace city in a mess. Then his purpose is nothing more than assassination, stealing or planting bombs. Ruju, did you and Roger have found anything? Tsunade pondered. At this time, we must be more cautious. Lu Ju shook her head. She and Roger lived in the depths of the Dragon Palace. Doflamingo did not go there, nor did Roger's observation hockey find him. As that's so, Itachi and Ninetales, I can only ask you to see if the person who sneaked in is still in Dragon Palace, or if there is something in Dragon Palace. Tsunade decided to let Itachi and Ninetales check the Dragon Palace city. Hey, Tsunade, can't you let the old man take a break? I have suffered such serious injuries. I am wounded now. Ninetales rolled over on the ground and didn't want to get up. Perhaps it felt that it was not convincing enough. It continued. Then don't treat me as a police dog. I am a tailed beast, at least a fox. Jeyu's Ninetales was still picked up by Itachi and stood up. Because Tsunade's response was no, she stopped and waved her hand innocently. This action directly pulled the suture in Tsunade's hand, and the other end of the thread was still on Hidan's wound. Tsunade, can you be serious? There is a person here who has been stabbed through the heart. Stop talking. I feel your saliva splashed into my wound. Hidan said. What a big deal. Tsunade quickly sews the hole in Hidan's chest and heart in 3 or 2. Isn't it all right? After saying that, he took a picture of the position just sewn to show how good his craftsmanship is. Fortunately, it is Hidan. If ordinary people are so tossed, they will have to go far even if the wound is sewn. Hidan is immortal, and has no reaction to Tsunade's shot. Lu Ju beside him sees cold sweat. This is Roger's superb TCM Tsunade. Advertisement. Gao Chao didn't see it, but the danger was real. Lu Ju made up his mind not to let Tsunade be her doctor as a last resort. After a while, both Itachi and Ninetales that had been searched came back. Itachi shook his head and said that there was nothing to gain. It seems that the person has already left. Let's talk about this later. Thanks to Whitebeard, we have delayed long enough, and the time agreed by Qin Luo is about to come. We will be stuck at the gate of Dragon Palace later. You guys before. You can fight with whomever you should fight, and just hold it. The people around nodded. This plan is not difficult. Go is over. Wait, I'm getting angry when I mention this. Can't you just retreat later? I only got the blood of that glutinous rice man. Hidan remembered that he hadn't asked why Tsunade retreated. The line of defense has been pierced and don't retreat, wait for death. Tsunade choked Hidan. Hidan was a little embarrassed. He really didn't pay attention to the line of defense. Nuo mi nan. You are talking about Katakuri from the Ant Pirates, at least remember the name of your opponent. Itachi said. What? That guy, Hidan, haven't you figured it out yet? Can you do it? Ninetales said that you are too bad, and I can figure out the other's expression in a few clicks. These guys, boom, 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 Hidan felt as they said, 3 swords were stuck in the chest that had just been sewn. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 492. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. No way. This world is too tired to live, and Hidan, who has suffered 10,000 points of real damage from Tsunade, Itachi, and Ninetales, has the idea of being lighthearted. Although this kind of thinking is somewhat unrealistic for him, the undead. What do you know? Everything is to please the Lord Cthulhu. As a result, my ceremony was just about to begin, and I was interrupted by you. Hidan, who can lose in fights, resisted in quarrels. He couldn't manage that much, so he threw the pot that didn't kill Katakuri on others' heads. Then you can just make up the ceremony now, Tsunade said. Ha! Do you think that the Cthulhu ceremony is a bar credit, and it can be made up later? If this is the case, Hidan can kill the ant remotely as long as he sits and waits for someone to send the ant's blood. This is sorcery, not sorcery. Not only does it require fresh blood, it must also be at war. If not for not wanting to reveal too much of his abilities, Hidan really wants to give Tsunade a good knowledge of evil gods. Well, there is no problem with this sentence. Then you can take the other party's blood. Itachi, knowing some of Hidan's special bands, made a reliable suggestion. Reliable your sister. Hidan remembered the way he had just obtained Katakuri's blood, and a wry smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The memory reappeared in his mind like a slideshow. In the beginning, Hidan's beating had some effect, and Katakuri was messed up. But after realizing that his observation hockey was okay, Hidan's chaos was useless. Advertisement. The next step is that Hidan is unilaterally suppressed by Katakuri, foreseeing the future. This kind of thing will be the same as a cheater in a battle of the same level. Of course, a mortal body is also a super plugin. The cheating degree of these two plugin guys is about 50 to 50. Fortunately, Katakuri didn't know Hidan's immortality ability beforehand. He was just cautious not to be attacked by Hidan. The fool has a reward for his 1,000 thoughts. Hidan, with Elm's head, was wounded all over by Katakuri and finally figured out how Katakuri perceives the future, that is, how long he can foresee. A complete script was generated in Hidan's mind. Hidan had thought of the name of the script, and it was called, Let It Die and Be Born, a name full of evil and fun. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The beginning of the script is no different from the original, it's a life-for-life style of play. Sickle method Go Ming. Hidan threw the bloody March sickle in his hand at Katakuri, and the sickle speeded up a blood-red afterimage. It's useless. This situation has been rehearsed countless times. Katakuri's trident easily picked it up, and the sickle was shot out. Katakuri flew close to Hidan during the time when Hidan lost control of his weapon and sickle. The stick of glutinous group. This trick of Katakuri is to turn the arm into an extremely twisted glutinous group and wrap the trident. The toughness of the glutinous rice group makes the arm rotate and stab towards Hidan, like a drill. No matter how hard things are, they will be pierced instantly. The air was cut by the spurs of the glutinous group, and the sound of, bow si, was made. Under Katakuri's gaze, the sharp blade of the spur of the glutinous group pierced Hidan's chest. With a bang, Hidan disappeared, replaced by a piece of wood. At the moment when the sharp blade passed through the bore, Hidan used the body replacement technique that he had prepared long ago. Advertisement. Katakuri does not look surprised. Although I don't understand the principle of this strange ability, Katakuri has seen it once in the future foreseen by observation hockey, and I should be surprised at that time. Up. Side landing the moon. Hidan reappeared to the position behind Katakuri, and the sickle that flew out was slashed towards Katakuri in an arc under Chakra's urging. Katakuri turned around calmly. His right hand was still in the state of thorns, and his left hand was raised in the air to hold it, just grabbing the rope of the sickle in flight. Katakuri's left hand pulled, the bloody March sickle's slashing direction changed and was thrown to a position 3 meters away. Hidan found that Katakuri likes to rely on his ability to foresee the future to completely parry or seize the opponent's weapons in order to disrupt the enemy's momentum. You said how Hidan was an idiot who discovered this. Anyone who has been seized by Katakuri more than a dozen weapons, and thrown aside like trash after each seizure, will be very familiar with this. Not to mention Hidan, his heart is almost squeezed by the helplessness and anger. This act of grabbing the opposite weapon is Katakuri's means to fight the enemy, but it is not his arrogance. This is also applied to Hidan's script. Okay. Die. Hidan had expected the sickle to be taken. What he was waiting for was the opportunity for Nuotuan to stab and grab a weapon with his hands. Hidan took out a black stick about 20 centimeters from the left side of his clothes. With Hidan's shaking, the stick became a spear about 1 meter in a blink of an eye. This weapon Hidan is rarely used, and is generally used for self-defeating when casting curses. The distance between the two was not long, and between the electric light and flint, the black spear had reached Katakuri's chest. Advertisement. Hidan's grinning face contrasted sharply with Katakuri's calm face. This is impossible. Isn't the opposite person afraid of death, or that the opposite person even foresaw this? Seeing Katakuri's breezy look, Hidan's expression changed and he became a little flustered. Katakuri has seen such a change of expression too much, and almost everyone who thinks he succeeded in attacking him will have such an expression on his face, and he has already looked at it. The glutinous ball is bound, and a large number of glutinous ball tentacles emerge from Katakuri's body, binding Hidan from all angles, especially the joints and arms. Everything was prepared in advance. The number and angle of the tentacles were the optimal solution, and the black spear stopped at 5.9 Katakuri's chest and couldn't penetrate it. I really thought too much. I actually spent so much time on you. Katakuri said. As Katakuri finished speaking, the glutinous ball of his right hand thrust into the bound Hidan's chest and nailed it to the ground. With a sound, like a rag being pierced through, a lot of blood spurted out. After Hidan's eyes became apathetic, Katakuri confirmed Hidan's death. Like the future he had foreseen, the enemy lay on the ground and died. However, the death of the enemy made Katakuri feel uneasy, which was very strange to him. No, Katakuri noticed the sound of breaking through the air behind him, and even though he tried to avoid it, he was still injured to his left waist. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 493. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hidan was greedy, and the bloody March sickle that flew back wanted to cut off Katakuri, but he also knew that things would not go so smoothly. As long as the blood of Katakuri is obtained. Katakuri tried his best to dodge so that the bloody March sickle just swept across his left waist. The sickle blade equipped with seastone pierced the flesh and blood of Katakuri. Katakuri's waist quickly dyed red, and this was the first time he was injured since the start of the war. Katakuri stared at Hidan's corpse lying on the ground. He was pretty sure that he had pierced Hidan's heart and made it smashed. The fist-sized hole still had blood in it. But what happened to the attack just now? Will it still attack automatically without the owner's weapon? Could it be that the enemy is some kind of special demon fruit power? Katakuri watched Hidan's corpse guardedly, and he didn't want to understand the reason until there was a surprise scene in the scene predicted by his observation hockey. Bloody March sickle returned to Hidan's side with Katakuri's blood, 19 lying quietly on the ground. Hidan did not respond as if he really died. The heart is gone, and breathing is naturally unnecessary. It wasn't until a minute later that the familiar Hidan returned. A carp hit hard. Hidan stood up from the pool of blood, and viscous blood dripped from his body. The Nuomi man, I was very proud just now, he was not hurt by me. Your perception of the future is also limited, right? 30 seconds is not enough. I will act for 1 minute. My uncle really has the talent to be an actor, ha ha ha. Advertisement. Hidan laughed wanton. The previous minute was too uncomfortable for him who was impulsive. For a full minute, Hidan pretended to be a corpse in order to fool Katakuri's observation hockey for a short time. The other party's attention was also placed on him, and Hidan played the corpse so real, his heartbeat, breathing and pulse stopped as soon as he stopped. Seeing Hidan bending forward and backward with a smile, Katakuri's eyes were shocked, but there were also other things, as if he was looking at a mentally retarded person. Yes, no ordinary person would choose to pay the price of his heart for scratching him, even the undead. In the eyes of Katakuri, he still made this wave. A little injury understood Hidan's ability and shattered his heart. It seems that you haven't felt the horror of this, uncle. It's okay. Heart, just plug it in. The head is fine, as long as you get rid of it later. Feeling Katakuri's unfriendly eyes, Hidan disdained with that said, after he got the blood, he basically had the chance to win. The sickle blade stained with Katakuri's blood was placed by his mouth, licking the enemy's blood. Hidan could almost foresee the appearance of Katakuri shaking in death. Hidan thought about what means he would use to deal with Katakuri later, poke his eyes, burst chrysanthemums, or both. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Haha, the more I think about it, the more I get out of breath. Hidan can't wait to break Katakuri's arrogant face. Only at this time, a signal flare rose in the air, the Fishmen Island began to retreat, and the crazy look on Hidan's face became rigid again. Nani, what the hell is this? Hidan shook his sickle hand and almost cut off his tongue. The unbearable memory is over here. Hidan has only one feeling in his heart, that is, I feel uncomfortable and want to cry. You are embarrassing me, Hidan. Advertisement. Since you can't do it, Give him to me, and stop the other trash fish. Looking at the listless look on Hidan's face, Tsunade said, acceptably. Ha! Silly woman, who said that the uncle can't solve the glutinous rice man? I just want to dedicate him to the evil god. This requires ritual understanding. Ritual. Impulsive Hidan was stimulated by Tsunade, and said angrily. No need to dedicate it to Cthulhu, I'll just send him to the sky with a tail beast cannon later. Ninetails said very casually, as if it was easy to solve Katakuri, and it could be done at hand. FK you stinky fox, that glutinous rice man is the sacrifice I ordered for Lord Cthulhu. I will kill him later. Whoever dares to intervene, I will cut him off. Hidan pulled out the bloody March sickle behind him. A picture of whoever quarreled with him for Katakuri, he would be anxious on the spot. Tsunade rested his chin in his hands and thought, and after a while he patted Hidan on the shoulder and said, since you are so determined, Katakuri has to be handled by you. Go boldly. Don't worry about your body, my craftsmanship. Very good, you can sew it up even if you rotten into a piece of meat. Tsunade gave Hidan an encouraging look, and Hidan shouted passionately that it was okay. Looking at this scene in the eyes of other people, only a chill was generated from the back of the neck. Hey, I'll go to the gate of Longung City and wait. As soon as Nuomi man comes, I will chop him off. After saying that, Hidan hurried out. If you can't solve it, remember to call me. Ninetails said. Hidan, who had already ran out of the study, said from a distance. Go away, even if I'm seen as a few knots, I won't ask you to help, blow your cowhide to kill the dead fox. It's a pity that Hidan who was walking away didn't see it. After he left, Itachi gave a thumbs up in the direction of Tsunade and Ninetails. The two old foxes understood, and closed their eyes with a chuckle. Advertisement. It was terrible 780, and the impulsive Hidan was clearly arranged in front of these two people. After just a few aggressive moves, Hidan was treated as cannon fodder. The world is really embarrassing him Hidan. But this is not so good, Mr. Hidan will be very dangerous. Lu Ju, who is not sure about Hidan's abilities, is probably the only good person present. Even Tautu became black after staying with Chin Luo for a long time. Just now, she kept watching the theater on the side, becoming a melon-eating crowd. Don't worry, Lu Ju, even if this Hidan is cut into pieces, he won't necessarily die. But you will remember to hide it with Roger later. I'm worried that someone with ulterior motives will come in later. Dao the rabbit walked to Lu Ju's side and held her up and said. Counting the days, Lu Ju and Roger's first child is about to give birth. At this time, it is obvious that Lu Ju's belly is big. I don't know if this child who is about to be born is Ace. Yes, the holy light will bless him. A familiar voice suddenly appeared, saying something that everyone didn't understand. But it doesn't matter, what matters is the person who speaks. Chin Luo. Boss. You are back. Despite the different names, the people present almost said in unison. Yeah. From the corner, Chin Luo walked out slowly. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 494. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The appearance of Chin Luo undoubtedly gave everyone present a boost. With Chin Luo there, they don't need to worry about what comes next. Is things about world government and marine resolved? It was Tautu who asked, but the others were obviously curious as well. Chin Luo touched his head and recalled what he had just done in the Holy Land Mary Geois. That level must be regarded as a solution to the matter, but a little too much, and some goals have not been achieved. Naturally, it has been dealt with. If I go out, are there still things I can't do? Chin Luo said. No loss is the boss. No Hidan is here. Ninetails is Chin Luo's biggest dog leg. The style of Ninetails changed directly. From the old fox to a pet of the size of a husky, he ran to Chin Luo's side frantically. Even Itachi and Tsunade looked at him with admiration. Should the system be too strong? These exchanged characters feel that they have been subtly influenced and become more and more enthusiastic about Chin Luo. Maybe one day, Hidan will abandon the evil god and convert to him. Only Tautu, who was abducted by Chin Luo and was very familiar with him, heard something wrong in Chin Luo's mouth and looked at him suspiciously. Chin Luo felt that Tautu, who was uneasy, was too sensitive. He was only a little bit determined, but she was considered lacking in confidence. Blinking at Taotu, Qin Luo wanted to say that Taotu, you have to believe in your man's ability, how can you think that your man is not good? I really solved the problem over there. Advertisement. In fact, this was the situation at that time. As Qin Luo opened the third eye at the center of his eyebrows, 3 different complete bodies of Susanoo appeared on the square in the Holy Land Mary Geois. Of course, the eyes on the center of the brows are just a kind of phantom. After all, Qin Luo's face is wearing a mask. Even if an eye is really split, no one else can see it. Qin Luo didn't really plan to open the sky to himself. The blue Susanoo samurai was the first to rush towards the people on the ground. The Susanoo of Uchiha Madara was equipped with 2 chakra swords. The 2 faintly blue giant swords glowed with coldness, and the blue Susanoo took them in his hands and threw them at random, making everyone on the ground feel numb. If there is nothing wrong with the youngest, it would be good to leave this to him. It was the one with beige hair in 5 Elders who was talking. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Don't be stupid. Stay away if you don't have the fighting power, and you can give me a shot. The eldest brother in 5 Elders, the scared old man interrupted the beige old man's behavior of raising his morale and gave an order. Although all the miscellaneous fish have been solved by Qin Luo, there are still a lot of them that can still be shot. The world government's background is still there. There are many powerful characters hidden in the special forces from CP0 to CP9. First, an earth dragon and blue Susanoo met, and 5 elders with 2 mustaches also appeared behind the blue Susanoo. Burst palm. The 5 elders seemed to have a special martial art that hadn't been seen in this pirate world. Qin Luo didn't feel much before, but after contacting the undead fleet thousands of years ago, Qin Luo discovered that this world is not just composed of hockey, sword skills and devil fruit. His entire power system. There have been many other genres and forces in the history of pirate world, Marine 6 styles should be just one of them, but for some reason, many forces are hidden in history. Advertisement. 2 scarlet energies erupted from the palms of 5 elders, who had 2 mustaches, and blasted on the wings behind Susanoo. This trick is called explosive palm. As the name suggests, 2 energies exploded violently after hitting the target, and there were cracks on Susanoo's wings. But if 5 elders thought that this kind of attack from behind could do whatever they wanted, then Susanoo would be underestimated. These huge war gods that were summoned, apart from the defense and attack power, are high enough. The most important point is that they can be instructed by Qin Luo like an arm. 5 elders with 2 mustaches had no time to continue to use their martial arts. The blue Susanoo's wings rose up and patted him directly. It's like swatting flies. There was a pop, and 5 elders, who had been shot flying, hit the barrier of the seal. I hope he didn't hit the wall with his face first, the others couldn't help thinking. Some people continued to struggle with the blue and red Susanoo, while others rode another huge ice dragon around from the side. Catch the thief first and catch the king first, and they targeted Qin Luo. The ice dragon came to the side of the purple Susanoo where Qin Luo was, and 7 white ice crystals jumped out of the huge ice dragon. These ice crystals changed and became like a dragon head. Ice Devil ate different serpent. Unknowingly, Aokiji stepped into the realm of devil fruits, awakening with half his foot. The summoned object formed by Aokiji using frozen fruits mimicry becomes like real under his control. Advertisement. But Qin Luo has a problem. This is clearly called the 8 different big snake. Why do you make 8 dragon heads? Isn't the snake head bad? The 8 heads of the ice demon 8 different serpent encircled the purple Susanoo samurai and bound it round and round. The 8 dragon heads bite Susanoo's hands, feet, wings, neck and waist separately. The ice crystals that make up this ice demon and 8-pointed serpent are also the kind of 1,000-year-old ice with white jade luster, the kind that Aokiji just showed to trap Susanoo's right arm. It is hard but has a certain degree of toughness. Qin Luo tried it, and Susanoo didn't seem to be able to break it easily if he struggled alone. Taking this opportunity, other people almost swarmed up. Sengoku's shock wave, Akainu's fire breathing, Kizaru's sky cloud sword, and various moves are basically brewing. Luyun, receive the trial handle. The spear of trial. The man who was speaking was the scared old man with the pressure ability. Qin Luo had seen this trick before, and the invisible pressure was concentrated in the scared old man's hands. The strong pressure freezes and compresses the air, transforming into a huge black spear wrapped in hockey and throwing it at Qin Luo. Hey, although you look ugly, you think you are beautiful. Qin Luo didn't care much about the upcoming attack. Since he wanted to make the opponent feel desperate, it was not enough to rely on Susanoo. In the eyes of everyone's expectations, numerous attacks successfully smashed the blue Susanoo and attacked Qin Luo, who was inside. But the expectation turned into disappointment immediately, and a giant hand stood in front of Qin Luo. With the physical body at full level, Qin Luo's own defense is much higher than Susanoo. Qin Luo's right hand becomes larger, and he blasts the nearby attacks. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 495. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Really, the old man has to unblock the unicorn arm he has practiced for many years. After changing his right hand back to its original size, Qin Luo blew his palm, as if it was covered with dust. After doing all this, Qin Luo summoned the purple Susanoo again. If possible, Qin Luo doesn't want to use his physical body full level gaining ability all the time. Although this is a very useful ability, it is a very curious experience every time he uses it. By the way, this trick is still a clothes killer. Qin Luo can't remember how many times he hides in the Kamui space to change clothes after getting bigger. Now Kamui can't open the space, and the palm of his hand is already the limit he can accept. It's not that I can't beat the scum of world government and marine. Why do you want to make yourself so embarrassed? If you run naked, don't you want to lose face? In contrast, Susanoo's three brothers are not only bright in color, but they can also sprinkle coins, Yasaka Guyu, and release arrows, flame control. They are really suitable for dealing with these people. A lot of firepower was concentrated on Qin Luo's side, so that the other two Susanoo were coldly treated. These are simply inappropriate people. Wouldn't the Gundam without a driver be a Gundam? The red Susanoo warrior drew a long sword from behind 517 and cut off the mountain that was blocking them. Then more than a dozen blue Bachi Chong Guyu and two red Yasaka Guyu threw at the besieging Qin Luo like shurikens. The red Yasaka Goyu at the head hit the huge icicle made by Aokiji and cut it from the middle. The collision between the two also caused an explosion, and the huge fluctuations broke the icicles. Having lost the icicle as a foothold, many people have to rely on Marine 6 styles or other abilities to stay in the air, greatly reduced in flexibility, and concentrated by the subsequent blue 8-foot Chong Guyu. Advertisement. Blossoms of blood blossoms in the sky, and most of the people who were hit were more ill-fortuned. The blue 8-foot Chongu Jade has the power to almost penetrate the sand wall of Gara and the rock golem of Tsuchikage at the same time. The terrible loss caused the beheading plan of the world government and marine to go bankrupt, and they had to allocate enough manpower to restrict the two Susanoos. 4 rocky peaks grew from under the two Susanoos, entangled with the two Susanoos. The demon fruit power who controls the rock should know that pure rock peaks can only be cut off by the red Susanoo with a single sword. That 10-fist sword cuts up the barrier and seals as easily as cutting tofu. These huge rocks that appeared immediately became several arms grabbing two Susanoo. The shape of the rock constantly changed, and finally turned into 4 mountain giants about the size of Susanoo. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. These mountain giants are not the same as the previous rock barriers, and they are a bit difficult. Although the blue Susanoo's chakra sword and the red Susanoo's 10-fist sword can still easily cut off the limbs of mountain giants, the cut-off parts will immediately turn into ordinary rocks when they fall on the ground. Immediately give birth to a new part. The 4 mountain giants are sticking tightly to the two Susanoo's samurai like cowhide. They can't cause damage, but they can't get out of them in a short time. Coupled with other people's siege, the two Susanoos were really suppressed for a time. However, in order to maintain the 4 mountain giants, the Logia demon fruit power on the rock also did its best. After that, Qin Luo did not see any other rocks emerging. Advertisement. Kizaru took the initiative to intercept the Guyu thrown by the two Susanoos, and he also had a move to the 8-foot Chong Guyu. But in front of Susanoo's red and blue Guyu, Kizaru has no appearance at all, he is just a younger brother. Kizaru, who was transformed into a cross-star light, sputtered out countless dazzling light bullets from him. A football-sized light bomb hit the red and blue Guja, like raindrops hitting a rock. No matter how much it is, it will not help. Sure enough, Kizaru's Bashachong Guyu is a pirated version. He still wants to intercept all the red and blue Guyu. Isn't he too greedy? Kizaru's face went dark, the original idea was no longer working. Instead, Kizaru focused his light bullets on a few key Guyus, and they finally exploded before they hit 5 elders and others. Regarding Kizaru's activity, Qin Luo only wanted to say, "You are a light bulb, so bright dry clams, it's so dazzling." Several Amaterasu's arrows condensed beside Qin Luo, and one of them was aimed at Kizaru. If Kizaru wants to wait for the sun, Qin Luo doesn't mind shooting him down at all. In addition to Kizaru, Qin Luo also noticed another swordsman holding a 2-meter-long teisho in both hands. The big sword covered with black hockey slashed cleanly several times, and the number of smashed jade was not lower than Kizaru. He is another strong man that Qin Luo has never seen before. It seems that he is a hidden expert in the spy agency CP0-CP9 under the world government. The 2 moves of Guyu's attack ended, but the arrows gathered by Qin Luo flame control arrived as scheduled. Compared to Guyu, this indestructible black inflammation is obviously more feared. Advertisement. The kind of arrow rain just now is of little significance to the present, and the rest are the strong, and some of the small arrows are blocked by methods. So what Qin Luo prepared for them was an extra large size, which was similar to a siege crossbow for these people. A longbow was transformed into Qin Luo's Susanoo's right hand, the winding was full, and 6 arrows shot out. 1 arrow was aimed at Kizaru, who had turned into a light bulb, and another was aimed at Akainu, who was lingering, and the remaining 4 were aimed at 5 elders. Qin Luo still takes good care of acquaintances. With 2 screams, it was the old man with 2 beards in Akainu and 5 elders who really got the trick. As long as Kizaru's speed continues to glow and heat, he must be able to avoid it. The 3-5 elders are right next to Aokiji, blocked by Aokiji's huge ice cubes. So the only unlucky ones are Akainu and 5 elders with a 2-handed beard next to Qin Luo. Akainu was directly concentrated by the arrows and fell to the ground, but should it be said that the fire resistance of this girl is high enough? This is not dead, and the wailing that resounds through the sky shows that he is still alive. The 5 elders still stayed in the air, but looked a little miserable. His whole body was surrounded and burned by the flames of Amaterasu, and his hair had long disappeared. He was completely burnt and he couldn't see people. Reintroduction. These giant warriors are called Susanoo, the warriors who will kill you later. Qin Luo paused and continued. Or, if you tell me the location of the devil fruit tree, I will let you go. Quote. With the new round of black arrows gathering around him, Qin Luo's words are particularly convincing. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 496. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In the face of powerful forces, even the enemy can ensure that the other party listens carefully to your speech. The new round of arrows made up of Amaterasu flames is resting on the edge of Qin Luo Susanoo, like the sword of Damocles hanging on the heads of everyone. Don't talk about the offense at this time, let's guard against the attack of the master Qin Luo. Just now, Aokiji had spent a lot of effort to block the 3 arrows, but now he hasn't slowed down. Without the entanglement of Aokiji's ice demons, few of their attacks could fall on Qin Luo. Everyone tried to reduce their sense of existence as much as possible, and did not want to be targeted by Qin Luo's arrows. Before, Kizaru was able to escape because he was fast enough, and other people didn't think he had this speed. Unless Aokiji takes another shot to block the arrow. But will Qin Luo allow Aokiji to keep blocking his arrows, especially after he has disrupted Qin Luo's attack? No one speaks, which also means that Qin Luo hasn't got the answer he wants for a long time. At this time, Qin Luo didn't have time to grind with them. The Fishmen Island is still waiting for him to go back. Isn't they unable to make up their minds? Qin Luo will help them. Susanoo's giant drew back the longbow in his hand, and the 6 arrows disappeared, and when they reappeared in the next second, they were already placed on the full-stringed longbow. Qin Luo's sudden action surprised the people below. Isn't this still thinking? Just do it anyway. Advertisement. Quickly. Stop him. Scared, the old man yelled eagerly. If there is another important loss of combat power, morale will be gone. A huge pressure was poured into the air by the old man with the scar, and the reaction force was fed back to the old man with the scar. His figure flashed past, and he had come to Qin Luo Susanoo's right hand. He wanted to smash Susanoo's right hand directly so that the 6 arrows could not be shot. There is another person who was faster than the scared old man, the 5 elders with a two-handed mustache who was hit by an arrow before. However, at this time, he really couldn't be called a human being, and his whole body was festered by Amaterasu's black inflammation. The 5 elders who was hit by the arrow also knew that the time for this life was running out. He concentrated all his power on this blow. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. 7 Phase Fist, Split Wind. In general, a lot of golden light shot out from the old man's body. The golden power was concentrated on the 2 hands, reflecting the 2 fists like the real sun. 7 punches, which seemed to have thousands of shadows, were shot by the old man in an instant, and bombarded Susano's back. Susano broke into pieces like glass from behind. The old man with a two-handed beard, the second in 5 elders, also dissipated into powder after the blow. Until he died, the Amaterasu flame burning on him slowly disappeared after burning all the powder. 5 elders really should not be underestimated, and the power of this blow directly broke Susano. However, it's no use. 5 elders is afraid that Qin Luo has some misunderstandings about Qin Luo's ability. It's not that he can't shoot out after smashing his left arm. This longbow is also imaginary. As long as Qin Luo wants, these arrows can be shot out of thin air. Perhaps adding a longbow is just for aiming. Advertisement. The 6 arrows fired changed their directions in the air and all flew towards Aokiji. Aokiji's behavior to block the 3 arrows just now was too much, and basically filled Luyan's hatred value. This time all 6 arrows flew towards him. Can't you block it? You can block it. Qin Luo stared at Aokiji with a black face. Before, Aokiji didn't use any skills to block Amaterasu's arrows. To put it bluntly, it was to use ice to sharpen the arrow's power. As long as the ice is thick and strong enough, the arrow stopped as just a bunch of burning Amaterasu flames. Not good. After learning that Qin Luo's goal was Aokiji, all the people around Aokiji had a bad face. But even if they wanted to save it, it was too late. As the saying goes, the arrow that leaves the string and the water splashed out are so easy to stop. The arrows in a row shot from the head of Aokiji's ice demon and Ochi-Orochi, and after consuming half of the number, they pierced through the entire ice demon and Ochi-Orochi and continued to fly towards Aokiji. After passing through the huge ice block temporarily generated by Aokiji again, the remaining 2 arrows were nailed to the right abdomen and left shoulder of Aokiji, who had turned into an Iceman. Arrows Yu-Wei led Aokiji all the way forward, and finally hit the seal barrier of the anchor of time and space. A large number of Amaterasu black flames burned above the space barrier, and there was a huge white ice block in the flames. Before going into a coma, Aokiji instinctively used all his remaining power to freeze himself. It is no joke to be hit by an arrow like a siege crossbow. At this time, Aokiji's left shoulder has disappeared halfway, and there is a basketball-sized hole in his right abdomen. The black flame was burning continuously at the wound. If it were not blocked by ice, it would spread to the whole body in an instant. But these ice can only be blocked for a while. As long as Qin Luo does not retract these Amaterasu flames, the growing Amaterasu flames will sooner or later engulf Aokiji. Advertisement. After Qin Luo's Susano was crushed by an old man with a two-handed beard, the scared old man turned to Qin Luo with a full punch. He casually glanced at the attacking old man with scar, and he was really familiar with the invisible power in his hand. As Qin Luo, who possesses both repulsion and gravity, the old man's ability to use pressure is somewhat unsuitable. He comfortably raised his right fist and confronted the old man's fist, mobilizing thousands of times the repulsive force to the fist. Qin Luo doesn't know how he loses. The only thing he has to consider is not to kill the scared old man. The person who ranked second in 5 elders was already waiting in line for resurrection, and then killed the scar. No one knew the location of the devil fruit tree. If you can't find out the location of the devil fruit tree this time, Qin Luo really can only wait to save enough points to buy the second control quota of distinguished heavenly gods. The 2 fists touched each other, and there was a sound like a crack in space. A large number of storms suddenly formed, hitting the old man with the sword, and wrinkling the flesh on his face. After a while, the storm calmed down, and the old man's right hand softened in a strange shape. In the collision just now, the old man's right arm received a comminuted fracture, as if he had no bones. The old man with scar was stiff enough, holding his right shoulder in his left hand, his teeth clenched in a daze to resist the pain and did not shout, the veins on his forehead jumped wildly, and sweat kept coming out. For such a tough guy, Qin Luo has always respected him. So he grabbed the old man with scar by the neck and lifted him up, you shouted. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 497. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Qin Luo was very embarrassed by the scars of the old man. The bones on his right hand have turned into powder, and I can bear it. Later, how will Qin Luo ask about the whereabouts of the devil fruit tree? Qin Luo regretted that he easily used the illusion of distinguished heavenly gods against the bald head in Five Elders. Unlike the bald straw bag, Scar, as the boss of Five Elders, is absolutely capable and holds many secrets. Except for fear of real death like an old man with a sword, Qin Luo has never seen him gaffe. But now it's useless to say these things. Qin Luo felt that the spirit of the scared old man had to be destroyed before he could continue to interrogate him. Repulsion endless hell. This move turned the repulsion into countless invisible needles, which surrounded the right arm of the old man whose bones were shattered by Qin Luo's signal. The pain of bone crushing made the nerve in the right arm of the scarred old man extremely sensitive at this time. After Qin Luo snapped his fingers, those invisible needles were pierced all at once. The screams poured out of the old man's mouth like water bursting a bank, probably because Qin Luo was still pinching his neck, so there was still a sense of depression in the screams. Damn its flowing cloud, let go of Lord Five Elders. Quickly let go of the boss. Advertisement. People from world government and marine who saw this scene shouted in unison. The people below were still scared. After Luyun had solved Akainu, Aokiji, and the two Five Elders, their attacks began to hesitate. Especially after the scared old man fell into Qin Luo's hands. The chief has become a hostage to the enemy, and it is not appropriate to do it at this time. This seemed to be a good reason, until Qin Luo apparently began to abuse the Scar Elder in front of everyone. For the people below, Qin Luo doesn't want to bother them at all now. Qin Luo has an idea at this moment, that is, to continue to experience it, to completely destroy the spirit of the scared old man. As for the people below, let's play with Susanoo. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Qin Luo has summoned the purple Susanoo for the third time, making it like a fragile item. When the battle was again entrusted to the three Susanoos to deal with it, Qin Luo put more thoughts on training the scared elder. Oh no, it was the interrogation. All are fearless except for the real death, right? It seems that Five Elders lived so easily before, and they didn't know that there was something called life is better than death. Now Qin Luo doesn't have enough points to send them to see God, but he wants to die and resurrect. I'm sorry, but I have to ask him first. Qin Luo agrees or disagrees. Invisible fine needles poked the old man's right arm round after round, and dense red spots emerged from the old man's right arm. This was bloodshot from the tiny pinhole. Qin Luo did not expand the scope of the fine needle puncture, but continued on the right arm, as long as the most painful area continues to be injured. What Qin Luo wants to scar the old man is pain, not death. Advertisement. It feels almost over. The roar of the scared old man has begun to become hoarse, and the physical pain that the scar can bring to the old man has reached the limit. Qin Luo sneered and removed the closed eyes of the old man. Mangekyo Sharingan was launched, and Qin Luo dragged the scared old man into the world of illusionary moon reading. The new torture and interrogation continue in the moon reading world, where Qin Luo does not have to worry about the death of the scared old man due to the harsh punishment. Outside, people from marine and world government continued to besiege Susanoo in Qin Luo. Without Qin Luo's command and cooperation, Susanoo's offensive style is more like a samurai. The two purple double swords were taken off the wings behind the quilt. When facing the people of world government and marine, it was even more funny to use swords to chop flies. People from marine and world government are not feeling well, and there is no matchmaking between Aokiji and Logia Demon Fruit Power, another rock side. If they want to attack Susanoo, who is flying flexibly in the air, they have to spend more effort with each blow, and it may not be effective. At this time, the most tangled is the other surviving Five Elders with beige hair. The bald Five Elders controlled by Qin Luo with distinguished heavenly gods doesn't count, this girl is just a superficial entanglement. Looking at his brows frowning, but in fact he saw that Qin Luo was at an advantage, and his spatial ability could not be used because of the anchor of the space, so he was happy to paddle on the side with his acting skills. 5 elders, with beige hair, considered it for a while before finally deciding what to do. He turned around and said to Sengoku and Gangukong on the side. No matter what method is used, I hope you will interrupt Qin Luo's torture of his eldest brother and force him to the ground. Although the beige-haired old man does not know the location of the devil fruit tree, it does not hinder him. Realizing the importance of this devil fruit tree to them, Qin Luo can't let Qin Luo know anyway. 5 elders was in trouble again. Gangukong and Sengoku secretly looked at each other, both of them had this meaning. Especially the latter Sengoku, the hole in his waist shot through by Amaterasu was still bleeding. 5 elders is to arrange for him to be brave and righteous. Advertisement. Gangukong and Sengoku were silent for a while, before shaking their heads to reject the matter to 5 elders, explaining to him that it was not realistic. 5 elders, with beige hair, said first. Don't rush to refuse first. This is a transaction, not an order. The steel frame is empty of your previous request. As long as you complete the task I mentioned just now, I will agree. Sengoku is the same for you, as long as you do what I said. I can guarantee that the next Martial Marine will be you. Garp will also be released and the officer will be reinstated. I have to say that after being a superior for so many years, 5 elders is extremely accurate with regard to people's hearts. Regardless of what exactly Gangukong asked 5 elders, his psychological grasp of Sengoku was so terrible that he had to reconsider this matter in a severely injured state. If only mentioning the position of Martial Marine, Sengoku might dismiss it with 4.7 and not risk his life. As long as Sengoku doesn't make too many mistakes, the next Martial Marine is basically in his pocket. But Garp is different, his situation is a bit special now. Since the return of Chitose City and O'Hara, Garp has expressed strong opposition to 5 elders' decision to allow the undead fleet to wreak havoc on the sea, ignoring the lives of many civilians, and declared that it would all be said. 5 elders and Garp directly tore their faces. New hatred and old hatred, all the black history of the past has been turned out, and Garp, who worked with 5 elders, was directly imprisoned on the charge of collaborating with the enemy and treason. This is also the reason why I didn't see Garp in this battle. I agreed. After thinking for a while, Sengoku spoke first. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 498. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Gangbone gave Sengoku a surprised look, probably because he thought that this friendship between Sengoku and Garp was a little weird, and he might be dying in his current physical state. Almost the next second Sengoku promised, Gangukong also agreed. Okay. I know you will agree. You can arrange other people at will. In a minute, you will find a way to get Luyun down from the sky. I will let Deadpool find a way to compress the barrier of the anchor of time and space. As for the big brother, if you don't come out, you can just kill it. Brother will understand the intention. The words of the beige-haired old man made Sengoku and Gangu hollow their hearts, and they felt each other's determination. Even if it is not the first time that 5 elders is known to have the ability to resurrect, how about killing a real man? You won't come to us again to settle accounts. After Sengoku and Gangukong agreed, the beige-haired 5 elders informed the bald head controlled by Qin Luo distinguished heavenly gods. What is such a big thing? You decided not to get angry with me first. The bald old man was surprised after listening to 19, but he did not expect that his 4th brother had made such a decision silently. At this time, it's better not to disturb the adults, Baldhead thinking whether there is any way to stop their actions. What does it matter? Do you have any other opinions? 5 elders with beige hair looked suspiciously at the bald old man. Advertisement. Of course, no. This is indeed the best way now. At this time, the bald old man certainly did not dare to object explicitly, which was obviously the best way. If you force a veto but can't come up with a better way, it will only attract the suspicion of several other 5 elders. The bald old man muttered silently, I am an undercover. Pretending to be like this on his face. Does this require me to contact the outside Deadpool? But then the pressure on Deadpool will be too great. The bald old man himself has the power of time and space. He is very clear that the anchor of time and space has been researched by them. One of the space seal techniques, it is very difficult to change the size of its seal. It is like a standardized and finalized porcelain, but you have to change its size and shape forcibly. Such a change will greatly increase the pressure on the 9 Deadpools, and the duration of the time and space anchor will also be sharply shortened. You have also seen it. I don't want to push Luyun down. I can't threaten him at all. Now I can only make a desperate move. I will leave the contact with me, but you will find the time to save the eldest brother later, if you can't. With that said, 5 elders with beige hair made a wiping motion of his neck. This task made the bald head very embarrassed. It was impossible to rescue or kill Big Brother from Master Luyun. But not doing anything will lead to suspicion. The bald head was caught in a dilemma, and his extremely clever appearance could not help him at this time. Gradually, the other attackers stopped. Kizaru and several people who have the ability to move freely in the air firmly took over and attracted the attention of the purple Susanoo where Qinluo was. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. After reaching the designated position, a shower of attacks followed. While these attacks were entangled with Susanoo, Sengoku had been quietly stayed above Susanoo. The golden light continued to emerge from Sengoku's body, the golden light grew from small to large, and Sengoku also became a big Buddha. When Aokiji and Akainu fell to the ground, and the rock-related natural fruit ability of the world government was in no time, Sengoku became the only existence that could change to the size of Susanoo. Advertisement. The black armament hockey is condensed on Sengoku's whole body, and the sky is dark. If someone looks up at this time, they will see a black figure appearing from the sun. Do you remember a hand that fell from the sky? At this moment, do you recall the terror once dominated by the Tathagata and the humiliation of being imprisoned in the 5-finger Yamanaka? You guessed it, Sengoku's current moves not only have nothing to do with Tathagata Palm, but they are not even scary at all. But Sengoku's move also has an earth-shattering name, and people call it, holding the sister in the bosom. Don't underestimate this. Hold sister in your arms. This is a cruel move of using powerful force to hug the opponent's waist from behind and throw it behind you to break the opponent's spine. The most important thing is that most of the time you use this trick, you have a girl in your arms. Hearing this, is your unicorn arm aching? Don't suppress yourself, hurry up and dream. However, Sengoku's purpose at this time is not to smash Susanoo, but simply to get Qinluo to the bottom. Sengoku, who was wrapped in armament hockey, quickly approached Susanoo where Qinluo was. Sengoku's body touched Susanoo, and the flames on Susanoo burned Sengoku's skin. Armament hockey couldn't insulate all the temperature. It was a very clear string of click sounds, just like pork knuckles just put on the grill. Just listening to the sound can make people empathize with that kind of pain. Advertisement. Sengoku gritted his teeth and endured the pain of the burn, and clasped his hands tightly on the purple Susanoo's waist. With great speed and inertia, Susanoo and Sengoku fell to the ground like meteors. With a boom, the cratered bottom surface of the square was hit by a crater like 820, and half of the square was covered by the dust from the shock. When the smoke slowly dissipated, Marine and world government personnel could see what was going on inside. Susanoo was the first to land, and Susanoo absorbed a lot of damage. There are obvious cracks all over Susanoo's body, and it seems that it may break at any time. This is the 4th time. How can Susanoo be completely broken like a glassware? Sengoku barely managed to save his life, but his condition was not very good either, and blood appeared from the slightly treated abdominal wound again. Sengoku himself was on the verge of coma, venting more and less air. The huge shock caused Qinluo's discomfort and forcibly pulled him back from the training and torture of Moonredding World. Qinluo was taken aback and almost called out. There is no way. Anyone who woke up not only found that he had crashed, but also had a huge Sengoku head close at hand, would be frightened. Sengoku, are you just looking for death? Qinluo said angrily, and while controlling Susanoo, he was about to understand Sengoku's fate, who had just scared him. As a result, Susanoo shattered just as soon as he moved, and Sengoku lost Susanoo, who was supporting him under his body, and crouched on the ground in a round shape. It seemed that he was not far from death. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 499. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Qinluo looked dumbfounded, who can tell him what happened in the last few seconds? Qin Luo couldn't find anyone to ask at this time. The Sengoku in front of him was already dying, and it was even more impossible to ask the old man with the scar in his hand. In just 1 minute, Qin Luo gave the scared old man all the illusions in the eyes of the blood wheel except distinguished heavenly gods and Izanami. He was an excellent and promising Marine Lieutenant General, knowing that he had an arrow in the knee. Yes, after evading his attack, Qin Luo used a repulsive force to condense an arrow directly into the knee to deal with and abolish his leg. In just 1 minute, it was possible to shoot 10,000 ways to die, with the scared old man as the protagonist. Saliva flowed out of the corner of the old man's mouth uncontrollably, his eyes turned white and scattered, and the old man had obviously been damaged by playing. Even so, Qin Luo still did not ask the news of the devil fruit tree from him. A few seconds ago, Qin Luo also took the time to confirm Susanoo's status. The armor value was full. He released himself and beat the children. Anyway, how he came. As a result, within 10 seconds, he became a landing phoenix, and Susanoo was broken again. With the first experience, Qin Luo became more proficient in earning points. Coincidentally, there are quite a few people who master physique and swordsmanship. If they are lucky enough to be kicked by Qin Luo, if they are unlucky, they will lie on the ground or stay behind after a trick with Qin Luo. Something. But this does not prevent Qin Luo from relying on physical strength to block these attacks one by one. The shrinkage of the barrier Qin Luo has also noticed, but he doesn't care about it, and he can feel that the entire barrier is beginning to become unstable, and may break at any time. Advertisement. With sharp eyes, Qin Luo directly pulled him out of the hole with his feet at the moment he saw him, and directly inserted his left hand into the heart. Following the death of that person, Qin Luo heard the prompt that the system had earned 800 points. After the goal was achieved, Qin Luo took his left hand away, and blood spattered from the heart of the man's corpse at this time. During the time Qin Luo fell to the ground, the barrier of the anchor of time began to vibrate, and the barrier at the top began to shrink and decrease. It kept shrinking and stopped at a distance of less than 15 meters. As for the demon fruit power, except for the slippery Kizaru, as long as it is delivered to the door, Qin Luo has not let it go. His devouring ability is already hungry and thirsty. To swallow these ordinary devil fruits, there is no need to spend points at all, but the opposite is to send them. Qin Luo had just left the dust-shrouded area, and a black shadow surrounded him again. The shot was the bald 5 elders controlled by Qin Luo with distinguished heavenly gods. At this height, even if Qin Luo flies into the air again, he can easily attack it with the strength of the people on the square. Iron King Cannon Punch. The beige-haired 5 elders did it themselves. Armament Hockey's fist covered Armament Hockey's fist plummeting from the sky, drawing a black straight line and hitting Qin Luo's head. While thinking about Qin Luo's mind, the black dragon had already come to his side. The black dragon's claws swept fiercely, causing a fishy wind. Qin Luo's left hand stretched out his index finger just like a dragonfly, and lightly touched the attacking black dragon giant claw. The harsh metal scraping sound spread throughout the square. Advertisement. Qin Luo took a step back, and 5 elders Iron King Cannon punched the ground at his feet. With a boom, that piece of ground was hammered into the soil, and a lot of sand was shaken into the air by the after waves. This is probably to kill one person in 10 steps. Don't stay for 1,000 miles. Qin Luo thought narcissistically. As for the difference between 1,000 miles and a kilometer, illiterate people will not know. Qin Luo may not have felt it before, but how he sees it now, this black energy is like a variant of the black substance used by Aidu in the undead fleet. And both have the ability to restrain devil fruit. In the dust, Qin Luo and the beige-haired 5 elders fought against each other 7 or 8 times. Golden Wind, Death Tempest Kick, Thousand Tong Finger Pistol. This beige-haired 5 elders is far more accomplished in Marine 6 styles than others. Even the hollow of the steel frame is much worse. A kind of special black energy overflowed from the body of the bald 5 elders, and the black dragon appeared with its teeth and claws, and lunged towards Qin Luo. This black energy has a miraculous effect on demon fruit power. After the purple Susanoo shattered, Qin Luo seemed to have stabbed a hornet's nest. Marine and the people from CP0 to CP9 are coming up one after another. At the moment he wrapped Qin Luo's left hand, Qin Luo was also rude, swallowed his devil fruit, and took out his body from his body that gradually turned back into a human form in his incredulous eyes. Heart. Naturally, he couldn't die anymore. The swallowing ability was activated, and devil fruit reunited in the person's heart, and the claws on his body faded little by little and returned to the shape of the original arm. Down the road, Qin Luo gained more than 4,000 points. Zone's demon fruit power is the most popular. The only exception is a paramesha gum fruit capable person. Advertisement. Because the scarred old man who had been unconscious was always carried on his right hand, Qin Luo only used his left hand to deal with the incoming enemy. Responding while moving, wait until Qin Luo hits from the edge of the square to the center of the square. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Like a Marine lieutenant general in front of him, his tempest kick came out through his knee. Qin Luo admired his imagination very much, so this lieutenant general's life resume has one more item on it. Qin Luo has a long experience. His unique Marine 6 style special skills, various swordsmanship and devil fruit abilities are organized into an offensive net to surround Qin Luo. On this 800-meter-long road, countless wounded and corpses fell one after another. The blood gathered to form a red carpet, and the stumps and arms were replaced by flowers as an embellishment. After several collisions, Qin Luo clenched his left hand and slammed into the dragon's claws. The powerful force took the black dragon to fly out and hit the barrier of the anchor of time. Qin Luo feels that next time I will find a bald head and have a good chat about life, and by the way, I will find out where his ability comes from. A person from the world government digs a hole and rushes out of the underground, trying to pull Qin Luo into the pit. This person has beast-like claws. If you guessed it correctly, it should be a mole or a pangolin animal capable of fruit. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. This glue devil fruit relies on his whole body to turn into glue, trying to stick Qin Luo's hand. His behavior is tantamount to taking chestnuts from the fire. Didn't you see that those Logia bosses were cautious when facing Qin Luo? Advertisement. Chapter 500. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Even if it is his own, Qin Luo has no plan to keep a hand, not to mention that the owner now needs to attack him as an undercover agent on the opposite side. Qin Luo can't deliberately waterproof either. Since acting, it's a trick. After flying for a while, the bald old man fell on the ground and slid all the way into the barrier. The bald head is a little helpless, he had foreseen this situation before he shot it. Qin Luo's strength is clearer than others, and another old man with a sword who is also very clear is now lining up underground waiting for reincarnation. However, in order not to arouse the suspicion of the other 5 elders, the superficial effort was necessary, so he came to receive a beating at all. In the end, the bald old man still struggled to support the barrier of the anchor of time and space to stand up again. Before, he was not trying to find a way to find a compromise between rescuing or killing the scarred old man and not destroying Qin Luo's plan. Although he could pretend to faint, the plan to rescue or kill the scared old man will still be carried out by others. In order to help Qin Luo obtain the position of the devil fruit tree, the bald old man can also be considered as a fight. But will his plan really work? The repulsion of the bald old man by Qin Luo did not stop the attacks of Marine and the rest of the world government in 970. Successive attacks still followed. Qin Luo's response became more determined. This time he did not retreat, staying on the spot, facing all the attacking enemies with one left hand and 2 legs. Advertisement. The people of Marine and world government have also become smarter. Their attacks are often repelled in a single blow, reducing unnecessary damage and more entangled Qin Luo here. Despite this, the number of corpses or wounded lying next to Qin Luo is still increasing. The smoke and dust aroused by the battle dissipated little by little, and Qin Luo and the panorama beside him was exposed. Except for the people in the same place, the most striking thing is the beige-haired 5 elders at Qin Luo's feet. 5 elders with beige hair disappeared after a few attacks with Qin Luo. The others thought it was Qin Luo hitting an unknown corner and leaving. Unexpectedly, he was trampled by Qin Luo all the time. Doesn't that mean that they may have accidentally stepped on or injured 5 elders in the first battle? Everyone in Marine and the world government meditated on the Buddha's blessing and blessed that they did not offend 5 elders. Their worries are superfluous. 5 elders with beige hair was knocked out by Qin Luo and trampled underfoot. If you want this beige-haired five elders to wait for the resurrection, Qin Luo has done it a long time ago, and there is no need to wait until now. Qin Luo will need him later, so he won't let this beige-haired five elders die so easily. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. In this case, Qin Luo doesn't mind at this time, using some small means to weaken the prestige of five elders in marine, world government and the world. Come to think of it, the reporters outside the barrier who are not afraid of death will record all this scene clearly. The bald old man's black dragon roared and attacked again, at full speed, and there was a tendency to die together with Qin Luo. People from marine and world government admire five elders' strong Yamato. Because of the angle, they couldn't see the bald old man flying around while frantically making Qin Luo stares. The eyes of the bald old man blinked wildly, first looking at Marine and then at the scared old man in Qin Luo's hand. Advertisement. The dialogue in the bald old man's heart at this time is, Master Luyun, they want to rescue or kill Scar. I have a plan to rescue Scar, gain the trust of Scar, and then extract information about the location of the devil fruit tree. The plan is very brief, but what's the use of blinking your eyes? Even a Morse code is useless in blinking randomly. It can only be understood by psychological induction. Not to mention what kind of broken plan this is, it will be a ghost if it succeeds. Even if Qin Luo understands the meaning of bald head, he will pretend not to know, expecting a sloppy brain to come up with a good way, you are enough. Thus, in Qin Luo's eyes, the blinking behavior of the bald head turned into sand in the eyes. What a dedicated undercover agent, the sand in his eyes is too late to wipe, and he takes his life to act. In this case, I can't live up to the painstaking effort of my bald head, just add a little more anger. The invisible repulsive force was mobilized to Qin Luo's left fist, and the highly concentrated energy made the air a little dignified. In fact, Qin Luo's continued to rise, and the killing intent released made everyone around him find it hard to breathe. This discomfort caused five elders with beige hair at Qin Luo's feet to woke up. The bald old man didn't blink anymore, he had a foreboding that something was going wrong. First of all, Qin Luo not only failed to understand his intention to release water on him, but also strengthened the intensity of the next attack. What's more, he knew he was going to suffer later, but he couldn't stop. For the sake of momentum, the bald old man has already maximized his speed. This is a car with two accelerators but no brakes. He wants to get off the car. This is not a car to kindergarten at all. This is the last thought in the mind of the bald old man before being shot by Qin Luo. The black dragon flew backwards faster than it had come, hit the barrier of the anchor of time and stuck to it. The red and black ones splashed on the barrier like exploded water balls. The bald old man was honored to go to the queue again to wait for his resurrection. The beige-haired five elders was completely awakened by the sound of the black dragon colliding with Qin Luo's fists. When he opened his eyes, he saw the twisted face of the bald head shot by Qin Luo and a few falling to the ground. Bloody teeth. Advertisement. It must be painful, and the beige-haired five elders trembled in this scene. The rolled-up smoke caused five elders with beige hair to cough violently. And this cough naturally attracted the attention of Qin Luo who was stepping on him. Qin Luo was about to look down to see the condition of the beige-haired five elders at his feet. As for the old man with the scar who was dragged to the ground by his right hand, the broken toys could not attract his attention at all. But a voice appeared beside Qin Luo. Speed is weight. Have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? Kizaru came out again without looking. This is to make a sneak attack while his left hand has not been recovered. Only Kizaru, who is capable of sparkling fruit, can use such a little time. A laser was aimed at Qin Luo's face and kicked. But do you feel happy if you skin like this? The pattern of Mangekyo Sharingan flashed in Qin Luo's eyes, and the flame of Amaterasu was about to generate. Kizaru suddenly disappeared. He ran away, the moment he felt the danger. At the same time, a spear slammed out of the ground. Kizaru is just a cover, this is the real killer move. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtlnovel for free. Advertisement.